It's Friday, October 18th, 2024. Start off as we usually do, our promotional segment where I tell you very simply that if you'd like to support our show, then you can go to supportourshow.com. One easy address. I think all the options are there. And Schrodinger's code remains in effect. Ozone might not get you 2 months free on Libsyn. So if you'd like to try out podcasting to see what it's all about, see what everybody's talking about, what the buzz is, where all the money is, then you can use that code and see what happens. I don't know.
I will soon have my the first chapter of my book in audio form up on YouTube. I have sent Joe the sample chapter to consider, and actually it's good because I wanted to ask.
Oh, I pasted it on the Patreon. I wanted to see what people would think, but I haven't heard anything.
Oh, did you?
No, I did. Of course, I wouldn't do that without asking you first.
I don't really care. I'd be curious if you did. So what I was going to ask is if people who listen to the show, I feel like I just want to put my files up without any kind of image on them. But Joe is of the school of thought that we should have some kind of image there.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know from anybody if it's an audiobook, do you really care if there's an image on the screen when you play it?
I'm curious about something. I guess I should have done this before. Let's see. That? I'm sure there are audiobooks on there. So what do people do? Does anybody?
Usually,
oh wow!
I've seen
most
a picture
of them are the people sitting there reading. Okay.
Oh God, no! My wife asked me if I was going to do that, and I was like, no.
Here's one.
No.
This one is. Why would they? Okay, I think that's a bad idea.
You gotta tell me what you're seeing, man. I can't.
All right. Well, no, I literally just went to YouTube and I searched for audiobook. Okay, actually, there's a range. All right, good. Because the first couple I saw.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you an example. I would not do this, so I will link this to you. And what I'm linking to everybody is, oh, geez, get that down there. I almost just clicked the thing that would have turned the microphone off. Is I went to YouTube very simply and typed in audiobook. And one of the first ones that came up were Agatha Christie books that are being read by somebody. Different people, but they have just the book in the center of a black screen or a red screen. And I think that's
audiobook.
Not
is
good.
Is it? Okay, their logo looks a lot like the Audible logo. That's funny.
Now, well, it could be. Now,
yeah,
what
and I guess
better is what I just sent you, which is Token.
Here's the thing about
better.
This.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh my God, I just lost the window. Man, I'm doing really good tonight. I keep losing windows.
Yeah.
I see.
That's better.
Or it's the large image. Yeah. So here's the thing that I've been thinking about, which is that I am not an artist, nor am I a illustrator or a graphic designer. I'm really only good at writing. So, and the thing is that if I need to do something else to this file, I have to run it through you, which is creating more work for you and makes it one more step. You know what I mean?
But
so the way I see it is,
it doesn't really make work.
Well, I know that, but if people want the writing, should it matter if the audiobook is there and the audio is there and the writing is okay, then does it matter if there's a visual there?
Yeah. See,
You're
I'll
a very
tell you right
visual.
now,
You're a very visual
am.
person.
I am, but I think. See, even I'm going to link you another one, which is a Joseph Conrad book. Even that I think is better, even though it doesn't show the book, which is odd. It does have the title at the beginning, and then it goes away, which I find odd. I would have just left it on the screen. But I'm finding what I think are better ones now.
I'd like to see it, but I'm getting a huge political ad. Hold on a second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Here you go. Oh, the house. Yeah.
Yeah, see, something like that, just something that gives you a bit of a sense of,
Yeah, but it goes back to the whole not an artist.
Well, no, but it doesn't have to be. You know what?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is now. See, this is I think better. This is probably this is what I would say is a bare minimum that I would consider okay. Because I'm going to explain my thinking, and people can disagree with this. It's fine.
No, it's fine.
But to me, if you're going to upload something to a platform that is primarily a visually based platform, which it is, YouTube is, by its very nature, a video platform. So if you're going to be uploading something and saying, well, this is just audio with some text, I don't know. To me, that is a little bit low effort.
Using the software in the way that you want to use the software? I guess, no, see, I and the thing is, if I were an artist and I had some knowledge of how to do things like this, then you'd be 100% correct. But I'm not an artist or a graphic designer or an illustrator. Those are not my areas.
Yes,
Nor
but you
am
know
I good
one.
with.
You know one.
No, I
that's
know
the thing,
that.
is
But,
if
okay,
you,
but
if
listen.
You, if you
but
truly
it's
had no
creating
resources,
yeah, but
that's
it's creating. It's creating work for
it's
other
not
people.
that much work.
Okay.
It's so. It is. Okay.
You know what? Listen, our listeners. I'm sure some of my listeners our listeners will totally understand that idea that you don't want to just create work for your friends.
And I'm in the same boat. But what I'm saying is, for something like,
I think it's because you think of it as an extension of the podcast. I think that's what it is.
No, it's not. It's not that. What I would like to do is create the best avenue for people, because here's part of what your whole thing about use the tool the way you want. Yeah, I agree. But that's a secondary thing. The way that YouTube works is it is driven by thumbnails, things that grab people's attention. And if all you have is a picture of a book and a black screen, they're going to go right by it.
Doesn't it create an air of mystery?
No. In this attention-starved economy, are you kidding?
I know.
No. You have to get the gerbil's eyes.
Yeah, this has all been such a process for me, because like I am Spider Jerusalem held up on the mountain, and to have to engage.
Well, and I understand, and I completely I get what that is, but I also think that you want to take advantage of every aspect of the tool or platform for success. So yes, can you use it the way you want to? Yes, you are. You are using it. What was created as a primarily video-based platform, you will use as primarily audio, but there is a layer that will get your attention for you.
But there's no very good, easy audio platform like YouTube.
Well, SoundCloud is what I think some people would argue, or Bandcamp, but Bandcamp is more for musicians. SoundCloud is kind of the all-purpose audio one.
Yeah, which I've never even remotely used.
The problem
and
with
I look for audio files on YouTube all the time.
Well, and that's the thing, as I was going to say, is SoundCloud's biggest problem is that YouTube kind of beat them to it. But SoundCloud is designed for audio.
People will have to let me know. I'm curious. The first files are already done. I just have to kind of decide when I'm going to start that cycle, because I don't know if I'm going to go. I'm going to go bi-weekly or weekly. I haven't decided yet. I only have 2 books, so I'm going to get through that eventually.
Because I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
All the work.
Yeah.
I'm putting air quotes, which you can't see, everybody. Sorry, this is an audio medium.
Air quotes.
I'm air quoting, quotation marks. And so what I'm saying is that the only real work is you picking out a background image. That's the hardest thing, is you telling me, here's the background image, Here's the text that
Oh,
on
but
the
then
screen.
you have to find like a license, a free license background.
No. I have Adobe stock. I pay for it.
Oh,
I get
yeah.
these things.
I didn't. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it doesn't have to
Adobe
be.
stock.
Yeah, Adobe stock is for the. You will never hit the amount of views. I'm just being honest about it. You will never hit the amount of views that would trigger a commercial license kicking in.
Oh,
That's like 100,000 whatevers.
I
So-
would. I will never. Yes, that's not an
And that's what I'm
insult.
saying.
That's a reality.
Yeah. So what I'm telling you is go on Adobe Stock and search for any type of image you want. You find it and you tell me what it is, and I create a either a static background or one with a very slight bit of animation, and then I loop it and I make that file 1 hour long with everything frozen into it, burned in.
Well,
And then you send me the file, and I cut it to the file length, and I send it back to you, and you upload it. That's it. That's the work.
If you would like to post, because you don't. Oh, you don't even have the full file. That's right. You have the first
No,
draft
I don't.
made.
No, you only gave me the draft. So if you want to
Yeah,
send
if
it
you'd
to
like,
me,
if you'd like to post the,
I will.
because that's not even the first chapter. That's actually the prologue.
but you have your own YouTube channel, right? You registered.
I
one,
do
right?
have
Didn't you?
I do have a YouTube channel now.
Okay.
Yes.
You're going
There's
to
nothing
send
on
me
it.
the file. No,
Yeah.
that's fine. You're going to send me the file, and I'm going to send you back an MP4 that you're going to upload to it. That's it.
Well, I'm still curious what people think, because
Well, okay, but let's.
you know,
What I'm saying is,
I know. Do your best. I know.
let's give everybody the best possible introduction.
Yeah.
You know, first impression thing. I've always heard
But
is
by all
important.
means, if you're curious about it, the prologue is I'm gonna send it to Joe tonight after we finish the show, and he can post it on the Patreon if you'd like to hear.
Okay,
the,
that'll do. Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's really easy. And then, like I said, I just don't know if I'm going to be doing a weekly or bi-weekly basis. I feel like weekly because that's kind of like an episode coming out a week.
By the way, we've already failed miserably in that we have failed to mention the title of the book this entire time.
No,
He's
no,
described
that's not a
reading book
failure.
and we never said that.
That's
No, it
not a
is. We should have
failure.
said it immediately.
Oh, that it's artificial fear.
Thank you. See,
There you go.
I'm trying to guide you. I'm trying to.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
Like the
I'm
current of
terrible
the
at
river
this.
carrying
Yeah.
a leaf.
Yeah, because I'm like the old school writer where I just want to write and fuck off. Like I don't even want like the attention. I just want
And,
write and
well,
then, yeah.
No, okay. Don't say that. You do want the attention because you want people to buy and
Oh,
read your book. So you do
yeah,
want
honestly,
the attention.
I will tell you the reason I write. I'd love to get paid for it, but I mean it's been years and I don't really get that paid for it, so I do it anyway. But I think the real reason I write is that when I was a kid and I was very lonely and I was going through hard times, the fiction I read made me not feel alone. It made me feel connected to something. And that is kind of the way I've always envisioned it, that when I write, I make a connection in the way that I make connections. If somebody reads my book and it makes them feel less alone in the world, then it's a success.
Yeah.
You know? Can you hear that? Can you hear that giant air horn?
No.
Good. There's a train that goes by my house, and they fucking put the air horn on at any time of night. It's quite funny, and in the background it's just blaring. But that's good that you can't pick it up because that's fucking loud.
I mean, if it's there, it's so low I can't tell.
Meanwhile, the keyboard comes off like machine gun fire. Fucking hilarious.
That's proximity. So remember,
Yeah, so
microphones die off quick.
I know. So the first book, the first book on the list is Artificial Fear, which is my first book. It's very different, I think, than the other stuff I write because it's got a lot of characters all kind of revolving around each other. I'm posting this all. I'll be posting it all on YouTube for free. And if anybody hears it and they like it, they can donate so that I can keep making shit. Otherwise, it's still there. And my wife was like, "You're gonna connect to like all of Joe's stuff," and I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And then she was like, "That's weird." She's like, "You're gonna connect to all those video game videos," and I was like, "Oh yeah, you know what? That's funny." Do you imagine if you could connect?
You won't connect to
No.
stuff.
No. I'm going to connect to it because imagine how
I was gonna say
hilarious it would
inherently you
be
won't, but-
if you found out like, because I wrote Naked Lunch.
Wait, my Burroughs?
Burroughs. If you found out that Burroughs
was it
had a whole
hardcore knitter?
no, it had like a whole channel where he was talking
Did it?
shit with somebody else playing video games, or like he
yeah.
had a show he did about how much he loved knitting. Anything like that, where you could get a better concept of the person. I mean, not to mention the fact that we have over 900 shows on this fucking thing, like, but it's the whole. I realized that inadvertently we've created a kind of large tapestry.
Yes, that's one word for it.
Yes. So I was laughing about that because I was like, well, you know what? It'll be funny. It'll be like, you want to get a sense of the psychopath? Here, watch him play some games. I suppose the wit is there. So, either way, I'd love to know what people think. Weekly, bi-weekly, images, no images. Although Joe is I know Joe is probably right, but either way, I'd like to kick and scream. But that'll be coming out soon. It is done. I just have to polish it off. Which means, man, it's one of those things where like I recorded it and then I recorded it again, and now I'm like listening to it and I'm like, I could do one more time, because I kind of do it one shot,
Yeah.
So it'll be. So I'm gonna kind of wait to see what people think, but you're fully welcome to put the prologue up, and I will probably put the prologue up as well. Although I should probably run the file by you at that point. So if you're looking for if you're looking for a B movie in space, that's like a space
Ghost
western.
in the Shell meets a spaghetti western, as one review put it.
Oh, is that? Oh, I don't remember that review.
I do.
That's very nice.
I thought so.
Yes, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose with a spaghetti western. And it's weird now because I'm starting to forget stuff that I did. Like I remember the story and I remember the characters, but like I'm starting to forget some of the details that I did. So now when I'm reading it, I like surprise myself. Like it's been long enough now that I can almost read it and be like, that's kind of cool. But then I'm also doing that thing where I read it and go, why didn't I go further? And I'm like, well, because, you wrote this many years ago and your brain is different. Right. It's like old brain and current brain are looking at each other going, we're not the same. So, which is interesting. Yeah, you'll always see the cracks in your own work. So, but anyway, do you have any show news coming up?
Let's see. Show news. No, all the major late nights, which the last 3 have all been video. So there is actually a reason to go to the YouTube page. It will not be a static background. So I think I finally got my template in place, which is good. Because that was the thing that was, the first ones I did with Doug would take like 2 weeks to edit. The last one I did in 2 days. So I think I have the template in place now with like a kind of standardized approach. So if you watch the last 3 videos, you'll see where I'm workshopping it, because you'll notice the lower thirds kind of change. And, they're generally the same, but they kind of codify. And now I've got a file saved that I can put everything in. So but those are, I did those really rapid fire because they all kind of happened within the same amount of time, and I don't like sitting on shows. I mean, some people do these things and turn them out within a day or two, and
wow,
I really, I mean, what I will say this, I will give myself this one credit. I don't give myself a lot of credit on things, or at least I don't like to, but I will say this: a lot of people who do this stuff have people doing their editing and other things for them. I'm doing it all, so turning it around in 2 days was pretty good. I was happy with it. So I think I've got it.
You're your own mechanic.
I am, which is good, because it means if something breaks, I can fix it. I don't like
whose fault it is.
Yeah, I know exactly whose fault it is, and I don't have to wait for somebody else.
Did your live show get recorded?
Yes, it is on. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I get the address right. I believe it is twitch.tv/HeartBeatHero. And I did win the trivia. Shockingly, because I have blown it enough times.
What was the question?
Well, it's multiple. So I think I went with Star Wars every time. Oh no, I'm sorry. I want to say I went with Batman the first time, maybe, or Halloween the first time, and then I did Star Wars, I think, the second and third times. Let me see. Okay, he has it. It doesn't look like.
Well,
Doesn't
this
look
show
like
is
that one
definitely
there yet.
worth seeing because Joe got dressed up as Two-Face for this,
Yeah, I did. That's true.
and it came out quite good. So if
Yeah.
you want to see something,
Yeah.
if you want to see something fun and see a podcast,
Mhm. Yeah.
you should check that one out.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. It was fun. And the stuff didn't melt all. I was actually very concerned that the heat, because it's, in October, it was 101 yesterday. It's 103 today. So, Northern California is becoming a
You know
cinder
what?
block.
It's weird because I realized that it's October and I'm still wearing shorts.
Yeah, no,
And I'm kind of like,
yeah.
no, that's weird.
No,
for me.
I'm agreeing. Is for where
Yeah.
you are to be wearing shorts at this
Yeah.
point is strange.
I'm wearing shorts in October.
Yeah, you're on the East Coast. That shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, don't be wrong. In like Vermont, I would have stopped wearing shorts like in early
sure.
September.
Yeah, don't worry.
but
They'll
yeah,
get it. They'll get it eventually. Yeah. They'll have 70 degrees in October too.
I know the
Eventually.
weather is getting weird, and there's a lot of weird shit going on. I mean, you see the stuff that's coming out of North Carolina.
Oh yeah, of course. It's terrible.
It's terrible. We looked at North Carolina, like when we were trying to figure out where to go.
Well, that's you know what? That's the problem with the southeast is that weather is just going to get worse.
It is, yeah. Yeah, but you know what? The flooding in Vermont is getting bad too. Like that's the other thing is we moved, and I mean like 2-3 days after we moved, all that flooding happened, and that flooding was like right near where we live. Like it's not even like it was like how sometimes something happens in your state and you're kind of like, well, that's an abstract thing. It's in the north. It's not near us.
Right.
It's like no. That was like 5 minutes from us where all that flooding happened. There were parks that I used to bring my kids to all the time that were fucking underwater. So it's it's kind of weird. It makes you you realize that you have to start redrawing these hazard maps in your head.
It's not great. Oh, you know what? Here. Okay, actually, the show is on YouTube, so I see it. Here it is.
Well, make sure you link it.
Yeah, I'll link it. I'll find the links to everything. Because I know it takes a while to process this stuff. So, yeah, the full audio show is already up. But yeah, there's the the makeup came out pretty good.
Yeah, I think it came out great.
It looks all right.
I'm trying to be Evel Knievel for Halloween because I have to take my kids trick or treating. And look at that.
Yeah.
Is there a Beetlejuice in there?
There is. Yeah, that's the host. He had his daughter did his makeup for him.
Oh, did he have a wig?
No, that's his hair. They colored it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was asking you. He didn't seem like he had big hair. That's all.
Well, no, he doesn't. He has short hair. So
I debated doing Beetlejuice for.
I'll be honest
Halloween.
with you. If I had to wear headphones, there is no chance I would have worn a wig. That's why I have just little. Yeah, that's terrible. That's so itchy.
I realized that if I did Beetlejuice, I would feel weird having like a beard, and I was like, "Yeah, bearded Beetlejuice. That's kind of a weird. It was like a sex move, doesn't it?" He was a bearded Beetlejuice. But yeah, I just realized I was like, no, I'm not taking my beard off for Halloween. Fuck that. So no, I'm just gonna be a bearded Evel Knievel, which also sounds like a weird sex move, doesn't it?
I will tell you a funny thing about that show. He asked for a promo video, without makeup, just a general. He always asks for promo videos, and so I did one. Now he cut it down for Instagram, so you can't see it. But basically, I put animated bats like flying from behind my head, and I'm all red because I inadvertently discovered that because I have all red wallpapers on this computer because it's in a red case with a red mouse, so it's all red. And so it looked scary. Like it was like a demon look. Like I had put red face paint on, so it was great. So I just left it like that. And then I was like, I want a little bit more something in there. So I put green mist coming out from behind me. But the thing I didn't really think about until after I'd sent it is that looks like I just farted toxic swamp gas, but whatever.
Well, that's scary.
Well, it would be, but he cut it down so nobody sees it. Because I was like, somebody's gonna be like, wow, so the death farter is on your show. That's great. But yeah, whatever. I was amused by it.
Hey, that's all it is at this point.
Yeah.
So, well, I have a review of a place, which is not something I do often.
Yeah.
No, it's the last time we reviewed a place. Actually, now that I think about it.
Place?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
All right, so this place is interesting because it has two locations. So it's not just on the East Coast, although the other one's in Ohio, so it's not that far out, you're not going to drive out to Ohio to see us. It's very sad because you'd probably have a really good time in a place like this. So,
oh, this is the Wonderland thing.
Yeah. So I went to this place called Otherworld.
Oh, Otherworld. Sorry, I'm calling it Wonderland.
Well, no,
it's
it's Wonderland on it's like digital Wonderland on acid. So we found this place called Otherworld. It is the one that we went to is right outside Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. But there is a bigger one in Ohio, which is funny because after we heard that, my wife was like, "Shit, now I have a reason to go to Ohio," and she's right because I would totally go to Ohio just to see the bigger version of this. And it's a very weird place because we saw some photos and it looked very sort of weird Technicolor, and it was kind of set up to be like a weird like art installation, like kind of strange environments type of thing. And we were very skeptical because, I mean, you know, stuff like that can go a lot of different ways.
Sure.
And then when we got there, it's like in a strip mall outside of Philly. So like that right there, we were like, well, that's weird.
I was going to say, that is not inherently promising.
No. Yeah, so it's in a strip mall with a lot of stuff, but a strip mall nonetheless. And the outside of it looks cool. It's all painted up. And we kind of got lucky because we had a weird... I went there with my kids and my wife, and we went on a weird day off. So like my kids didn't have school, but it's not like everybody was out of school, so we were able to kind of get in. Which was nice because the place was pretty empty, but from what I understand, that like on the weekends and at nights it fills up quite a bit, which I don't think it would be as fun if it had been full. I think the vacancy kind of gave it this air of, I don't know, being another world. So you park in this strip mall, and it's in this big warehouse, and you think to yourself, what the fuck is this going to be? And then you walk in, and from the moment you walk in, they have a bouncer up front, which I didn't think about it because I was kind of just focused on what was going on. But after the fact, my wife was like, "Yeah, they fucking need a bouncer." She's like, "If someone comes in here tripping balls like out of their minds in LSD, like they're gonna have a moment in this place." Like I could see how you'd lose your mind. I could see how you lose your mind without drugs in this place because I mean it is enveloping. So you go into this place, and there's this kind of first room that you go into, which is kind of all kinds of weird lighting, and then they've got these and everything is touchable, by the way. Like there's nothing you can't touch. Everything is allowable for you to touch and sit against and rub and whatever, anything you want to do. You just can't break it, right? And it's cool. The first room you go into, it has these weird kind of tanks on the side where it's full of what look like almost ping pong balls, but everything is moving like there's something alive underneath the ping pong balls. So it's almost like it's sitting on water and something is swimming around, knocking them around, and like that's kind of your introduction. And then as soon as you walk in, I can't even describe how weird some of these rooms get. There's a connected room that's just walls of wiring, just thick wiring all over the walls. It looks like you're inside like a computer or something like that. And then they curtain some of the rooms, not all of them, but some of them they curtain because the shift is so drastic. Like at one point, I think it wasn't the positronic hallway, but it was something like that. We came out of the positronic hallway and we suddenly came into a room that looked like a Victorian funeral, but with like weird sort of like almost like Venetian masked goblin people. And then they're mannequins, and there's like this kind of weird music playing in the room. And because of the sepia lighting they use, it feels like you're suddenly in a fucking black and white movie, or like an old timey like sepia movie. Like you've just come from a multicolored super cyberpunk hallway, and now you're in a sepia Victorian like funeral. And we're walking around this room, and I was like, "There's got to be more to this." And there was a casket that was closed, and I walked up to it, and I was like, oh man, it's like I wonder if something funny happens when you open the casket. And you can, and when you open the casket, the whole room suddenly goes rainbow multicolor and the music gets all exciting. So it's did you just send me something?
Yeah, I don't want to derail you, but I thought I remembered that I saw an image I know you want to see. Wait, don't look at it yet.
All right. So so you go to this room, and that thing is so many other rooms are like that. where some of them have these little puzzles you can figure out while you're in there. They're not important. They're just part of the experience. There's a room that my favorite room is this room you walk in that looks like some kind of cathedral. There are these 3 giant statues of women. I mean, giant. They're like 3 times the size of me, and they're like holding up this central orb that's glowing. And the whole ceiling is made up out of light panels. And there's like a main altar that almost looks like the controls of a ship. And when you get there, there's all these digital controls that control the music in the room. And there is this kind of like drumming techno in the room, and when you mess with the controls you can change the music, and as you change the music, the light panels shooting across the ceiling all change color as well. So like you are affecting the entire environment, and the music is really good. Like that's the other weird thing. Normally with places like this, I'm kind of, the music is an afterthought, but the sound design in this place was really amazing. I actually really like the techno music, and I called it the Techno Cathedral. I really like the techno music in the Techno Cathedral. It was really neat. I would have stayed there for a while, just kind of like hanging out with that music. You know what? You know that song "Confusion" from the
Are you talking about the Genesis?
Blade. Yeah. No. That song.
Oh no, you're talking
Blade.
about Blue Monday or New Order.
Yeah, New Order. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an element to this music in that room where like it just can keep going, but you can manipulate all the different pieces of it and kind of create your own music while you're there. It's really neat. There's another room that's a cavern that's full of giant monsters that are covered in like fur, and the whole environment is covered in fur. So like the walls are furry, the roof is furry with like long shag fur, and you can like basically lay against anything, or you can hug anything. Like it's really strange. And like one of the rooms is like you're in the middle of an arcade game, so the floor is mirrored, the walls are covered in like laser dots, and then there's these 2 stands where you can kind of grab this like weird gun thing, and you start shooting light shapes all over the room, and every time you shoot them, the whole room explodes with light on all these little like laser points. Oh man, like and the thing is, I could go on. Like I could just go on and on. One room looks like there's a giant dragon they've built, and you run into its mouth, and then you run through this. My wife called it the what do you call it? She got motion sickness from being in this hallway for some reason. She got vertigo. Yeah, she got vertigo. I don't know why, because it's almost like you're walking down the throat of an animal. So it's like the walls are almost kind of like swerving parachutes. And then at the other end, you walk out, and there's like this. You go into this room that almost looks like you're in the guts of the beast, where there's all these like black tire, almost like tubes running through everything. It's almost like you're in its intestines, but they're all squishy, so you can grab them and squeeze them as you walk through, and they swing around. And then that opens up into a room with a giant tree that's got lots of arms sticking out, and then it's like weird calm music coming down, and the tree's like kind of breathing. And as you walk through that into this other room, you walk into a forest of light, where they've created all these trees that have the base of the trees are all like almost like light rods, and they all kind of glow and swell, and there's like a massive overhang tree over it all that's got like all these weird positronic branches that glow different colors. And I mean, really one of the most unique places I think I have been in a very, very long time. I can't remember having gone someplace that was as weird as this, and weird in a way that I adore. Like I just I felt oddly at home. I just wanted to sit, and apparently you can. Like that's the other neat thing, is that because it's kind of like a museum, there are kids there, and because everything is kind of built to kind of touch and grab, like they aren't afraid of kids, so the kids are kind of walking around, and you can just kind of sit wherever you want and just enjoy it. Some of the rooms have have weird little puzzles you can find. Some of the rooms have no rhyme or reason. I was just, and we were lost. Like all these rooms are kind of connected intermittently to other rooms, but some rooms have like 2 or 3 different hallways that connect to them, that connect out. So there was a while there where we were like genuinely lost. I had no fucking idea where we were. When I walked in there, I thought I was like building. You know, like when you walk into a space, you start building your deathmatch map, so you know where everything is. I thought I knew where everything.
Create a mental.
Like a 3D map in your head. Yeah. I walked in and I thought I knew where I was going. And then within about 10 minutes, I was like, I have no fucking idea where we are. I was like, because you'd be like, well, surely we must be by the back wall of this warehouse. And then you'd walk through and there'd be like this giant cavern with a light tree or like some other shit. And you'd be like, whoa, where the fuck is this? Like, I had so many genuine moments of awe where I would just go from one space to another and just be like, holy shit. You know, there was one room that looked like something out of 2001: A Space Odyssey, but they mirrored it so it looked like an endless hallway. And you had all these like control panels on the walls that actually corresponded to cameras that were all through the place. So it was like you were looking at the security cameras in other rooms, but when you messed with the controls, you would mess with the video feed so you could make them look all kind of weird and deranged. I mean, I can just go on. Just go on. There was a room that looked like it was full of hanging testicles. Giant, fuzzy, hanging testicles. Hanging testicles like, you know the giant orbs from Killer Clowns from Space? The hanging things that they put the people in?
Yeah.
They look like those, and they were all over the room.
Yeah.
And some of them you could crawl into and sit.
Fun.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's just an endless... I don't know what the point of this place is, but it was good. Like,
it's an art installation. It doesn't have to have a point.
Exactly. And then the gift shop, there was a gift shop, and I was like, I hope it's weird. Let me tell you.
It had to be.
They had these weird animals, like these weird stuffed animals. They had like a 3-eyed fuzzy cat thing that had like the body of a dog, but then it had a monkey's tail with like a giant triangular, like almost like anvil at the end that was all like weird and fuzzy.
Let's take a look. They have it online.
I'll tell you, the other weird thing is
describe what you were talking about one more time.
So it had a fuzzy body with like, I think it had 3 eyes, and then it had a long tail that had like a triangular, and it was all fuzzy.
Oh, okay. It just had the one tail. It didn't have 6 arms?
No, it had 4 arms, I think.
Because there's a septifloof. There's a septifloof that has 3 eyes. It's furry. It's got big, almost like koala ears. Yeah. And then it has 3, 6, 7 arms, like a starfish.
Oh, cool. No, I didn't see that. Yeah, they said that the online gift shop you're looking at belongs to the Ohio one, which apparently has a bigger gift shop. Whereas the one I went to is the Jersey one that's smaller. And what's weird is that they only had... So you know how like you go to a gift shop and they have like different patterns of T-shirts, right? Mm-hmm. They only ever had one size for every pattern. I don't know if that was a decision or something weird in their ordering, but like there was this one shirt I liked. It only came in medium.
What was the shirt? And then there was
this other... It was... what was it? It was a weird-looking creature on like a tie-dye shirt. Yeah, there's a room you can go into, and there's this giant animal that's got like almost like a video. I know it's on the website.
If it's the
probably.
Creature I'm looking at, they have it in all different sizes.
It's got video eyes, and it's being milked, and essentially you hit these. Well, that
sounds.
knobs.
This one's called Utter Delights. That sure
yes,
sounds like
it's that creature. Yeah, and so when you
oh
hit the
God.
knobs.
Hey. Yeah, that's interesting.
Different things happen to the creature, and sometimes it looks at you lovingly, and then sometimes it looks at you angrily, and it follows you around the room sometimes. It's a weird fucking place. I love it. But yeah, in the gift shop, they only had... Every T-shirt only came in one size. And now, I'm sure that's not how it is on the online, but at the store, that's how it was. So, like...
Ooh, there's a really nice shirt they have. The Otherworld logo shirt is, like, Giger-esque.
Is it the guy falling?
Wow. No. It's just the words Otherworld with all this digital, like, inspiring
it's
stuff.
Neat.
It's just a logo. Yeah. It's very nice.
I'm telling you, if you have the ability to go to this one or the one in Ohio, it's worth making a trip. It is so worth it for the level of weird. I mean, just the level of, like, how stimulated it makes you feel. Because the thing is, I had just been writing a weird dream sequence in my book the night before I went. And then when we went, I felt like I was in a fucking dream sequence. I said to my wife at one point, we were walking through, and I was like, hey, if you ever want an idea of what it must be like to walk through my dreams, like, this is as close as you're going to get. Because just the scale of design jump from room to room, where you're just like, whoa, now we're in this kind of environment. Oh, okay. And like the attention to detail. There's one room that is full of mirrors. It's just full of mirrors. It's got like Victorian wallpaper. It's full of mirrors, and then all the art is made from skulls and bones, and it's all around the room. And what was neat is that was one of the few rooms where I noticed that there was actually a reference to the artist. There was a little barcode in the corner that you could scan if you were interested in the artist. But the whole room looked like that, and it looked like some kind of interdimensional Victorian death zone. Like,
It's
and
only
like
about 2.5 hours from where my mom lives, so maybe.
Is it? Oh. Well, the Jersey, the Philly one is, or the Ohio one.
No, not the. I'm obviously the one you went to. I'm talking.
Oh,
about.
yeah.
Not the.
Oh
other
man,
one.
I will totally take you there. I'll totally take you there.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Okay.
So it's.
I would be willing to do that. I'm not going to go to Ohio, but.
Yeah, well, I know it's Ohio.
I'm sure it's bigger, but I mean, well, when you go, you can tell me if it is that much
it's
different.
worth it?
I'm sure it's bigger, but will it really be, 90% better, or is it just going to be a larger canvas? Because
Well, I fucking love that this place exists.
That's great.
Apparently, it was opened a year ago, from the sounds of it. I don't know how long this place is going to be here, but if you have, if you have any opportunity, and you like weird shit, get to Otherworld. Either get to the Philly one or get to the Ohio one. Just get to Otherworld and just.
Well, that's interesting. The one in Ohio is smaller.
Is it? Because they told me it was bigger.
Yeah. No, okay. Columbus, Ohio is a 32,000 square foot immersive art installation. Right, that's what it says for that one. I'm reading off their website.
Okay.
The one you went to, which is Philadelphia, says it's 40,000 square feet.
Oh, weird. They told me the Ohio one was big. Well, okay. The woman working in the in the gift shop told me that the Ohio one was bigger, so I should have looked it up. Either way, it's fucking awesome, and it's big enough that we did a first pass, which took us a while. And after the first pass, I started to get a sense of where things were, and then by the time we did a second pass, I had my map was built. But that's normally not how that works. Normally, I have a map kind of like first pass through, whereas this place, I was so thrown off. Like just the dimension.
I am delighted to tell you that person had it backwards, and I'm just gonna read these specs.
Yeah.
Call it specs. Okay, Ohio, 40 plus artists. Philadelphia, 200 plus.
Whoa!
Hold on. Wait. The numbers get way more impressive as I go on. Ohio, 47 rooms. Now, the only thing is the Philadelphia one doesn't list a room number. So,
okay.
But still, it's still 32,000 square feet versus,
Oh, man, 47
that's okay.
rooms. I wonder.
Now, here's the big one. Here are the big. These are the ones to me which are the impressive ones. Number of projectors: Ohio 54, Philadelphia 130 plus.
Oh yeah.
LEDs, which means lighting.
Yeah.
In Ohio, 190,000. Philadelphia, 530,000. So just based on the numbers, I think you went to the bigger one.
Now that then maybe I did. I'm telling you, it was just absolutely worth it. And
unless she meant by room count, it is possible that they have more rooms. But
I'd never heard of this place, and we were just looking for. We were actually looking for.
It has a backstory. I didn't realize it was a story.
We were trying to find the Museum of Optical Illusions in in Philadelphia, and my wife looked it up wrong, and we ended up finding this place. It was a complete accident that we found it, and I was like,
I'll go to this thing when we're out there. I'll go to this thing again. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for you to go again. No, I mean it. I'm actually really happy to read that it seems like the Philadelphia one is bigger, because that gives me even more reason to want to go to that one.
Oh God! And the thing is, it is so cool. The only thing is, you got to figure out the timing, because I can imagine that at night or later in like certain days, like this place gets full.
Then we go early.
But it's so cool.
Go early. Me and my wife can get up.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Yeah, we can get up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would, and I will go back. It's funny. When we were leaving, they were like, "Do you want a season pass?" And I was like, "Why do I want a season pass?" And then like we left, and I was like, "No, I totally get it. I totally get why you would want to revisit a place like this, because it's being in this environment. It's stimulating. At one point,
I could easily see doing a season pass to this thing.
The room with the dragon that you walk into its mouth has this weird yurt, and when you walk into the yurt, the entire inside of the yurt looks like it's like alien Sanskrit fabric.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. How far is this thing from you?
It's an hour, I think, from me.
Okay, so A season pass. Not that this is not a sales pitch,
Yeah.
by the way. I'm not being paid. I have no. This is the first time I look at this.
No,
A season pass. I'm serious. I don't. I don't. But it's $65 for adults and $55 for children. Means you can go as much as you want. You get exclusive, like they do special events. You get to go to those. I don't know what companion tickets are, but you get 15% off. I guess that means you could buy a guest.
Oh, you
pass
can
or
bring
something.
people. You can bring people. Yeah.
Any events that they have, you get a discount of. They do concerts apparently are coming up and stuff. I can't imagine what that looks like in there.
That must be weird. Yeah.
And
I asked
then
my wife,
15%
like,
off the
man,
gift
I wonder
shop,
if they,
so.
I wonder if they do weddings and shit like that. Because I told my wife, I was like, I know it seems weird. I was like, but I would totally have an event in this space.
Oh, and the special events are an hour before normal opening, which means only the people who have the passes get to go to those. Yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool. It is rare that I go someplace and be just completely overwhelmed by it. Like I looked at some pictures of it online. I was like, that's pretty cool. And the funny thing is, like, I took pictures while I was there, and other than the fact that you can hear the music in one of them, which I really liked, I would just put that music. I would literally just leave my phone on for like a half hour and just do a half hour recording of that music.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna warn you now.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go to this thing, I'm gonna bring my mic. I'm gonna bring a camera. I'm going to record everything.
Yeah, and they don't seem to care about any of that. They want you to take pictures.
Well, yeah, it's promotion.
And the thing is, the photos
I just promoted their annual pass, and I've never been.
The photos don't do it justice. It's like when you're there. My wife was saying it's like when you go to a cathedral, you take a photo, you get a sense that it's big, but you don't really get a sense of like the bigness of it till you're actually physically there. Same thing with this. It's like you walk around and I sent you photos of the place, and it's like, yeah, it's cool, it's weird, but till you're surrounded by it, and you're wandering from room to room, and it's just one weird space to it. There's a room that's off to the corner that is a fucking it's a zoo for impossible creatures. They've got a 3-headed dragon that's just wrapped around the ceiling, and then they have these glass tanks that looks like the reptile room from like the Bronx Zoo, but then they're full of impossible creatures.
They have you can request a private photos, like a dedicated photo session.
Really?
Yep. Hold on, I'm reading
Weird.
it. Otherworld can be booked, so you probably have to pay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, you can do it.
I can't imagine that's cheap.
Wow.
So yeah, I want to give this place as much press as possible. It's fucking weird. It's awesome. It's extremely stimulating. Get dressed up in your best Star Trek clothes and go to another world.
You are, by the way, correct. It says right here, guests are welcome to take photographs, video inside of otherworld production equipment and lighting sources. So they don't want you to have professional gear, which makes sense. No tripods, no big lighting things, no flash.
The flash would be pointless. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so cool. And the thing is, like the lighting.
Oh,
shifts
by the way,
so...
here's your little thing. We encourage anyone who wants to take a large amount of photos or video to visit on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, as those are often have fewer guests in the space.
Oh, there you go.
So if we go early on one of those weekdays, which makes sense, then
yeah, and I would go back in 2 seconds. So
that tells you their weekends are packed. So
yeah, oh yeah, and like I said,
and I think you're right. Wednesday night on a weekend is probably a fucking zoo.
Yeah, and I understand why they have bouncers, because the other thing is, like, you get lost in this place. Like, that's the thing is that they've got a lot of cameras, but I mean, it's big and there's a lot of places to get lost.
So I would not bring my gear case in there with me, but I would bring my mics.
It is cool, yeah.
Yeah, because
I mean,
I do
and the
have
other
a
thing,
set of wireless
the biggest
mics.
problem,
You would wear one, and I would wear one.
The biggest problem you're going to have is just a lot of mirrors. So, like, when you're trying to take photos of stuff, it's like it's very hard to take a static photo of anything. It's like,
you know what? I honestly think that the audio of our reactions to it might be as good as having video. I really do. I was like, "Oh fuck! Look at this thing!"
No, yeah, and that was my reaction. We would go through a curtain into another room. Like I don't know what's weirder, either going from one room to another and going through a curtain.
There's video of a room with a person all wrapped in cables, like something out of Superman 3. Did you see that?
Yes, that's the Positronic hallway. Yeah,
that's awesome. That thing's great.
Yeah, you walk. Yeah, and the thing is, there's stuff in there that would be creepy if it was in any other kind of setting. But it's such a kind of welcoming setting that you're just like, this is great. This is weird. It's like there's all this cool shit like all over the place. But like there's some rooms that you see them from a distance where you start walking through a room and then you catch like a bit of like blue light or something flashing through a doorway and you're like, what the fuck is over there? And then other rooms, like you're going, there's this one hallway that's all curtained. So like, and they curtain the walls too. So when you first walk into the hallway, it looks like it's just an endless hallway of curtains. But then you realize that certain ones are doorways. And you go through this kind of dark hallway, and then you suddenly burst out into either the arcade laser dot wall room, or you get out into the Victorian funeral, and and it's just.
I do like the fact that they say you can stay for as long as you want. They're like, hey, however long it takes you to experience it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I never felt ushered. I never felt like I had anybody around me.
It says
like,
there's a specific fact question that says how long is the experience, and it says plan anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. It depends on how interactive your group is getting and how deep you're looking to go. You may explore for as long as you like, but you must arrive at your scheduled time. So all they care about is that you come in when you're supposed to.
You get there around your time, yeah. And the thing is, because I was with my kids were so curious, so we were like going from room to room. But there's a few spaces there that I would have sat for a while and just kind of just try to memorize them, just try to like get them in my head, because it's
There's a great answer here. Is this scary? This experience is not designed to be scary, although some areas are suspenseful and may not be favorited by small children. Like,
oh yeah, I could see that.
Sure.
I mean, there's nothing. There is nothing scary, but there are spaces that if you know, like the room with the furry room with all the giant like huggable monsters. If you're a little kid, that room might be a little scary. But then my daughter's like, "Oh my god, huggable monsters!" and she fucking runs out, you know. But and I did not want to go. But I will say this: my son got overwhelmed. He literally got overwhelmed by it. He said to me at one point,
just looking at the video, I can see how
he was like
younger people might.
Yeah, he was like, I got to sit outside for a bit. He's like, I'm so like he's like, I don't know if I'm coming.
Well, light stimulation is a real thing, and this is a lot of light.
Oh yeah, but my daughter and I, we did a few passes. We just kept going through, and then finally I was like, we got to go. And she was like, do we really have to? I'm like, yeah, we got to go. It's like they're waiting for us, you know. We got to go.
How long? Well, how long do you think you were in there for?
Oh, we were in there for probably an hour and 40. Almost 2 hours.
So yeah, that's good. So that's about what it says. Right.
And that was me wandering with children, which is at a more rapid pace. But I was so petrified to lose my kids, because I was like, Jesus Christ, if one of you two wanders off, I was like, I'm not going to find you.
Hold an air tag.
I'm not going to find you for a while.
Because it's like, that's actually a good idea. Maybe I'll get some when we come out there.
And the thing is, I sent you that one video, right, where I was basically looking at the tree, and then like I kind of wandered through the tree, through the forest of lights, right? And my daughter comes running out towards me. I think at the very end of the video, I had lost them. I knew they were with my wife, but I had lost them because I went back to do the video, and then I realized, shit, they're gone, and I wandered through, and then she burst out of the thing and ran up to my camera, and I was like, hey, it's like, what are you doing here? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, where's your mother? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, where's your brother? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, fuck. And I was like, at least you're with me, and I know he's with her. I was like, but it's that kind of space. It's like you get, you lose your sense of.
So I'm gonna guess that there are employees every so often that you see, right? I mean, there's people around.
I saw probably a few, but not as many as you'd think.
Well, what I mean is, eventually, if you were truly lost, if you just kept walking, you would eventually hit an employee and say, I need to get out.
Yeah, that's weird because there's exit signs, but the exit signs...
Oh, well.
Here's the thing. The exit signs get you out of the room that you're in, right?
Yeah.
But then they usually get you into like a hallway, but then there's no more exit sign. Like, it's like... It was kind of weird, and I wasn't really paying attention to that. But like even in the photos, sometimes you'll see there's like exit signs to get you out of rooms. But then, but you get a sense of it. That's the thing is like after the first run through, I was like, okay, I have a sense of kind of where things are. Like
I would imagine that if you really were separated, you would walk up to somebody and say, hey, I need.
Oh, eventually we'd find each other. Yeah, eventually we'd find each other. Listen, they have cameras everywhere.
That's what I mean is, if they saw a kid who was clearly lost, I'm thinking somebody would show up.
I get it. And the thing is, man, I'd loved to have been a kid and lost in this place. I felt like a kid being lost in this place. We went to this one corner, and it's like I wonder if it was like a closet or something like that. We went to this one corner, and when you walk into the corner, it's basically like a you've suddenly walked into a cavern, like a little cavern of like weird kind of stone going up and like all this kind of lichen and stuff. And then you realize that all the plants have eyeballs in the middle of them. And they and the way they designed it, it just looks like the room kind of goes up into like, you know, another cavern. And it's just this little closet like size space that you walk into, and you're like, oh shit, look at that. And you can stay in there if you want, or kind of lean against the walls, or whatever you want to do. Like it's. I said, like, I don't know what it's for, but it's fucking awesome. And it's very.
It's an art project. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's a very stimulating environment. So I will reiterate: if you can, you must see this place. If you live in Philly and you don't know about this place, get to it right away.
They have color-changing pencils. Ooh, they have color-changing mugs. Whoa!
They have color-changing
They
walls.
Have a giant narwhal alien mug. That thing is wild.
I haven't seen the Ohio store, so I have no idea what they have on their site. But they had some weird shit in the store.
Yeah, they got some really neat stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a very Blade Runner-looking tote bag. I like that. It's clear, but also multicolored. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Ooh, a holographic shopping tote.
And at one point, I don't know if I sent you the photos. At one point, I went to this. It looks like you've walked into like a fast food joint, right? There's one room, but it's like an alien fast food joint. So there's like a food desk, but then all the pictures behind it are like weird, fucked up foods in some alien language. And then there are these little, you know, almost like a grabber machine where you would like grab stuff.
Yeah.
There's a wall lined with them, and they all have alien language in them, and they're full of these giant roach-looking creatures that you can kind of reach down and get. So it's it's.
And do you keep them if you get them?
No. My daughter was desperate to see if she could get one of them, and no, they've turned them off. But when you walk in this room, you're like, oh yeah, like this is such a weird, like, just a fucking weird everything. So, go online, look at the photos, get a sense of how weird this place is. And it's weirder than you think it is. It's weirder than the photos make it out to be.
That's great.
And there's no lack of attention to detail.
Ooh, they have a Squish toy.
They really just went out of their way to just make it as all-encompassing as possible.
There is an FAQ thing that says, is this permanent or is it temporary? And the answer is, we'll be here as long as people are showing up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but that's the fear, is that
sure, of course.
There's a certain level of shock and awe. Like, I've seen it now, so I won't go back for a little bit. But I want to go back.
Sure.
You know, so it's like, okay, you know, but the thing is, enough people, you know. And plus, I never heard of them before. Like, I don't know how, like, what kind of circuit they advertise themselves on. You know what I mean? We found that as an accident.
It's a word of mouth type of thing.
So. God, it's fucking weird.
Weird. Yeah.
And there was. We took you to that place, the Archetypist.
Oh, of course.
The weird cafe.
My wife, she remembers that. With the most comfortable seating in the world.
Yeah, and that place was interesting. It was a tea house that had kind of light food, and the back room was sculpted to look like a cavern, but all the pieces of the cavern were essentially like human body parts.
Yeah,
well, they were booths, but all the walls were essentially like human body parts coming out of the wall.
Yeah, it was like ventricles and stuff, and and
it was a neat little environment. It was a neat little space to occupy, and have a tea. You know what I mean? Sure. I mean, the front room is useless, but the back room is fucking gorgeous.
It's gone now, right? It's gone, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's gone now. Last I checked.
How long would you say it had lasted for? How long was it there for? It was there for a while,
years,
right?
Maybe. I'd say 20
so
years.
See, okay. So
And there might be a new version of it there. I haven't looked.
Yeah.
But I know like that one version closed down. But this is like that. These places kind of come to be, and then they.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is if this thing were to last for 20 years, that would be pretty good.
Oh, jeez, I'd be amazed. But the thing is, I imagine at some point they'll want to change it. But what's interesting is that because the environment is as sectioned off as it is, they could very easily go in and cut rooms off. Because you can get to every room, you can get to kind of just about every room I think you can get from another room. So I could see them cutting rooms off and changing them if they wanted to. But some of these rooms are some of these rooms are so complicated. Like you said, there's so much light. There's so many projectors. There's so much LEDs. There's so much shit. I mean, like, if you have seizures, think twice. So that is my review of Otherworld. It is definitely another world. And yes, I would love to take you there.
Hey, man, I got news for you. As of November 2023, the archetype still exists.
Oh, does it really?
Edgewater, New Jersey. I see pictures.
Shit.
It's there.
I wonder if they. I wonder if when it was just closed down for renovations or something.
Maybe, because it says November 23rd. Food so expensive as well. 3 stars out of 5.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that
atmosphere
is a very
is interesting, but wears off quickly. Food choices are limited. Well, there you go. More of a dessert place. Hey.
That is pretty much exactly what that place was. It was all atmosphere.
Went for the gimmick of the cave decor, but love the food. I hear desserts are
But the thing is, like,
lunch. Yeah.
but atmosphere is I was just talking to my daughter about this.
No, I'm looking at the pictures. I mean, this is it. I remember
doing,
this. This is exactly the same. They haven't changed. They really didn't renovate it much.
Yeah, so we're doing Halloween decorations right now, right? And I'm getting annoyed about how, like, this year everyone seems to be carrying like mechanical decorations. There's a real push for like mechanical shit. And I'm kind of like, that's not what I want. I was like, I want, like, I want things made of resin. I like heavier things. Like, I want things that are like semi-permanent that I'm going to use every year. And I was talking to my daughter about how, like, there's this, I feel like a sense of atmosphere has been lost. Everyone wants these like jump scares. But for me, Halloween has always been about this kind of atmosphere of like spooky gloom type of thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not just all about something that's, some giant clown that's going to be like, ho, 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 I see you, and then like jump out at you. You know what I mean? But atmosphere, and the thing is, atmosphere is a huge element. Like I have worked really hard to create a stimulating atmosphere in my office for when I write. But when I find stimulating environments, like, it's great, and honestly, I have this thing where when I find a stimulating environment, I'm like really happy, and then I'm really scared because I'm like, shit, this is going to go away, isn't it? Because there are fun places, and there's places that you wish would take it further. You know what I mean? Like, I love the idea of like the Rainforest Cafe, but they never took it far enough. Like, I wanted that place to be like a fucking jungle, not just a restaurant with lots of bushes. Yeah. Wait, didn't the guys from South Park buy a restaurant?
I think
it was supposed
to
be like a weird,
right.
almost carnival-esque environment. It's like out in Colorado.
Yeah, what was that called?
It was
here it is.
I think it was something Hispanic. Spanish.
Casa Bonita.
Casa Bonita. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, atmosphere goes a long way, and I feel like it gets thrown to the wayside very quickly for other things. Like I feel like a lot of restaurants, a lot of places in general just kind of overlook it. When good atmosphere can make people come even when your shit is bad. I mean, people are coming to the Archetypist just to sit in that space. Because, I mean, like I said, the food is so-so, and, it's expensive.
Yep.
Because they know what they have. They have an environment.
Right. They have an environment.
It's fascinating because that kind of speaks to the whole, briefly, it speaks to the whole AI thing where it's like, AIs can create for you. I read this great line the other day about how, AI is rich people and corporations trying to get to the ability of artists without actually having to pay or use the artists. Something along that line.
Correct.
Right? Where it's like they're trying to bypass the creatives because they're themselves
trying to shortcut themselves to creativity.
Exactly.
Without understanding.
And and the thing is, so when you see these kind of genuine spaces that it took an artist to create, you feel it. You feel that. It's the same thing you get when you see an object that has been made by hand by somebody rather than commercially created. It's like, no, it does feel different. It's like when you handle something that's like made by otakus versus like made by a commercial machine. What is it? The Buzz Rixons, right? Buzz Rixons are a reproduction of like World War II, Korean War, airman jackets, military jackets. And the thing is, like, if you ever found the originals, you'd be like, wow, these are okay. But when you handle one of these Buzz Rixons, they are a genuine work of art. Like, there is this attention to detail, and that you feel like this is not just this thing. they have elevated it into some kind of something else. So it's nice when you find that, and it is really important to have it in the world, whether we realize it or not. And I know that commercially it's probably not it's not the thing corporations want or even give a shit about, because they've basically figured out they can live without it. But because they go without it, when you do find it, it's that much sweeter. Oh, look at that.
Uh-oh.
Silence.
Oh no, okay. I thought you dropped out. I was just about to say.
No. I just thought that was one of those nice, quiet moments at the end, so you have a moment to think about it.
No, I have nothing to either add nor disagree with in that statement. I say that same thing often, so
Yeah.
go
Yeah,
look
it's
at I'm going to link to it in show notes. Go look at it.
But Archetypist or Otherworld?
Well, both.
Or both.
I mean, Archetypus is kind of, you have to be in Edgewater, New Jersey, or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Whereas Otherworld at least has 2 locations, so it's more available.
Yeah, and I tell you, there's some funny restaurants near that place. Like, it's in a strip mall, but there's a lot of. It's weird. The strip mall that it's in is like a really dense place. Like, there's a ton of shit there. It's like they just shoved as much as they could in that area. So it's like a really like intense strip mall. But there's some funny restaurants like in and around it. Like nothing weird. They just have really funny names. So yeah. But I guess, yeah, I mean, if you've got a place like Otherland, then you're like, okay, well, people will probably come out of there and be hungry.
Yeah, well.
It's a shame.
Or because they have gotten so vertigo that they threw up, then they'll be hungry too.
I wish they had some kind of weird cafe. I don't know why.
It's somewhat
really
surprising they don't, isn't it?
Oh, because it's, yeah, and the thing is they had a bathroom, and I was so curious to use the bathroom that I did not want to be let down, that it was just like a very ordinary bathroom. I wanted it to be
the cafe would be like, remember in Hook when they can see the food and it's all day glow and like that. That's what it should be.
Yeah, you want it to be weird. And the thing, I was like, but they might, and that, so there's no cafe, but I think that the bathrooms are pretty.
But honestly, you don't actually have to do that much to make food weird. You could just put black lights in there, and it would make the food glow. Yeah. So you don't have to. Because I know people say, well, you'd have to use chemicals or something to color it, and people will be, no, you don't. Just put weird lighting in, and then your food looks alien. It just looks that way.
There is a sculpture park, probably like an hour from me, maybe a half hour. I'm not really sure at this point. Called the Grounds for Sculpture, and they have a really neat cafe there that is made up to look like a Van Gogh painting. So when you're in this place and you look at it, it looks like it's from the cafe from the Van Gogh painting. Yeah, they have a lot of weird stuff there too. That is this sculpture park, kind of in the middle of the burbs, and it's just got all these really neat statues of all kinds.
See,
all over
that's
the park.
that too. The Van Gogh thing. You could do a whole cafe on that where you just project it to the walls and had everything slowly moving.
Well, here's what's weird. So the Grounds for Sculpture, they do a night show. Oh, do they do? Actually, I don't even know if they're doing them now. But so when I first got here to Jersey, back to Jersey, that they had this place and they were doing night shows, and I missed the night show last year, but then I got the night show this year, and they do it like kind of towards the end of the fall, going into the winter, and you go at night, and the whole park is lit up in this really weird light show. It's like it feels so mumuch like the Otherworld people. And I've realized now that even some of the music makes me think of stuff I heard in Otherworld. So I'm actually wondering now if because I think I sent you a video of that, of like a whole kind of weird thing of statues and stairs, and there was like all this rainbow light and music pounding at it. Yeah. It reminded me so much of like Otherworld light in this sculpture park. But again, I love that sculpture park. It has a lot of atmosphere. It's really nice to walk through. I like the cafe. Like, it's like a neat little place to kind of sit. The food was not awful, which in cafes it often is, except in Paris. They had really good food in Paris, in the Louvre. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. Visit Vienna. Vienna had really good food in the museums there as well. Maybe it's just us. I don't know. Maybe we just have really bad food.
Wouldn't shock me exactly.
So, well, that was Otherworld, and I do want to revisit something because I think it's interesting. I showed my kids the movie The Abyss for the first time.
Ew.
Now, I love The Abyss by James.
Now, hold on.
Cameron.
Wait.
Yeah.
Where did you watch
Theatrical
this?
cut. We watched it on Disney.
No. Okay, so did it look? Because I know is that the new 4K version?
It looks
some people
good.
say it looks plasticky.
No.
Okay.
No,
right.
it looks good. No, it looks good.
Well, I know some of the new Cameron stuff. They actually, and if you see pictures, like True Lies looks awful.
Really?
They look like they look like AI people because he overprocessed them. Their skin is like shiny because he took all the grain out. So I was curious because I think Abyss and Aliens look the best of all of them. Yeah, if you look at screenshots, he ruined True Lies and I think Terminator 2.
No, it looks really good. I mean, Ed Harris looks fantastic. So yeah, we saw the theatrical cut, and my wife actually asked me. She's like, "Don't you want to watch the directorial cut?" And I said, "No," because I fell in love with the theatrical cut of that movie, and I liked the director's cut. But watching the movie, I realized why I liked the theatrical cut, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. That movie is still a work of art, by the way. That movie came out. I saw it in theaters like 4 times. I fucking love that movie. I don't know why. I think I love the mystery of it and the way it builds and the fucking raw emotion of that movie. I think that's probably the most intense movie I've shown my kids. That scene when Ed Harris is like desperate to keep her from dying is just, it stays with you. Or when she drowns, like when he watches her drown in the downed submarine. I mean,
okay, you're lucky because they did not. The streaming versions are not the ones that he ruined, so you can see the.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, it looks good.
Wow.
But the thing is, so I was thinking about that, like, because the directorial is longer and it has this whole thing about this tidal wave that the aliens create, and there's this whole message about basically don't destroy the ocean, right? Don't destroy us or we'll destroy you is kind of the idea that happens at the end of the movie, right? That's the director's cut. Now, I like the message. I like the idea. Yes, if an alien species did find itself suddenly discovered and then was very nearly nuked, they'd probably have a few words with the human race as well. But what I realized is I wanted to show my kids the theatrical cut because when I watched that version of The Abyss, I love the fact that it has a sort of abrupt ending and that you are left not knowing what's really going on. So yes, Ed Harris discovers these underwater creatures. Yes, they raise some kind of giant vessel that saves everybody and decompresses them, right? And then the movie ends with Ed Harris and his, I can't remember her name. Was it Master Antonio? Elizabeth Anthony? I can't remember her name. Basically, Ed Harris.
Yeah, the actress's name is Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. I don't remember the character's name.
Yeah. Oh, I know her name is a mouthful for me. So it ends with him and his wife standing on the structure.
Her name is Breathe, you bitch. That's all.
Yeah, Breathe, you bitch. Yeah. Come on, you bitch! You never back down from anything in your life. That fight.
You hold them like a fight. Yeah. Wow, boy, that's a hell of a line delivery right there.
Oh man, he is just fucking intensity in that movie.
Oh man, is he?
Him and Hicks, what's his name?
Michael Biehn, yeah.
Michael Biehn. I mean, he doesn't often play a bad guy, but he's so good in this.
I mean, you just watch him and you're just like, oh, this is only going to get worse. Oh, and it does. And his death scene is horrific. I mean,
it is. Yeah.
That is one of the scenes that I actually viscerally have a physical reaction to because when he screams and that thing implodes, it's so bad. It implodes
on him. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is that the crushing depth. I mean, that's what I love about that movie is that you are never not aware that they are like there is this crushing weight around them. It is it's kind of like it's funky. It's a space movie, really, but not in space. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause you could take the Abyss and you could transport it to outer space, and it would still be the same movie, pretty much, right? You'd have to, you finagle a little bit, but the fact that it's on Earth and that it's at the bottom of the ocean, which is like our own alien environment right next door, it's like, yeah, it makes it so much more intense. But for me, when the movie ends with the two of them being reunited on this alien vessel that has just surfaced them all, and then it just ends. As a kid, I watched that and my brain took off. My brain was like, whoa, like what happens next? And then I started thinking about all the things that could happen next. It's like the end of They Live, when Roddy Piper shoots the fucking satellite, and that's it. And the next thing you see is the guy who's with his girlfriend. And he's like, what's wrong, baby? What's going on? And you're like, oh, yeah, like he may have just changed the world. Right? I like that. I feel that the director's cut is, it takes that and kind of sways it because it kind of gives it this message that James Cameron had, and it takes the story in a different direction. And it's not that I think it's a bad version. I think they're both very good versions. I just like the way the theatrical cut leaves it open for me to play within my own head. You know what I mean? I don't think a lot of movies let us do that anymore. They want to spell everything out for you, and to have a movie that's that specific, then end in such a way where it's like, okay, now it almost feels like, for me, not James Cameron, but that the movie was going, okay, here, I'm laying it out for you now to just take it. You know, dream your own version of what happens next, right? So, it's kind of fascinating to me in that respect, which kind of leads me to this other thing I want to talk about. Hold on, I want to make sure I have the right name. So, I started a new course, and I want to talk about it because I think you will really enjoy this. There is a college course I'm listening to called How Science Shapes Science Fiction. Right? And this is the right one, right? I have a few of these, so I'm just making sure that's the one that I'm actually listening to, because it'd be really funny if I gave you the
This is one of the great courses ones?
This is one of the great courses, yeah.
It's called How Science Shapes Science Fiction?
Oh, no, you know what? I did screw it up. Sorry, it's science fiction. I knew I screwed it up. It's science fiction, literature of technological imagination.
Got it.
Right?
Yep.
It is a short course, right? It's only, I think, the courses are about 49 minutes long, and there's only 8 of them, right? So this is one of the shortest ones I've ever done of theirs, right?
Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is because the professor doing this, he focuses on kind of these big works of sci-fi fiction, and it kind of gives you the history around them. And so the first one is all about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein and the emergence of science fiction, because Frankenstein is considered to be kind of like the first sci-fi novel, right? But then when he was doing that, when he was talking about Mary Shelley, he gives you kind of all this history around it, which you would find really interesting. And the analysis of Frankenstein itself is fascinating. But his second course was about Jules Verne. And in there, he talks about how Jules Verne was a huge fan of Edgar Allan Poe. And how Edgar Allan Poe is not necessarily ever... You think of Edgar Allan Hoe... Edgar Allan Hoe. There you go.
Edgar Allan Hoe!
Yeah, Edgar Allan Poe. You think of Poe as like a horror, almost like a proto-horror writer, right? But there are stories he did that were very science fiction-y, right? And they very often drop off. Like they kind of present something to you and then they end. And they were talking about how, I guess, people like Jules Verne were reading these works, and it stimulated them to want to create their own versions of it. In fact, apparently multiple people have written endings for some of these stories. And so it's fascinating because that's like the abyss for me, where it's like I get to the end of that movie and I'm like, oh wait, you know what? I don't need the director's cut. I have the theatrical cut. It makes me want to create something. It makes me want to dream about the endings for this, which again goes back to that the key word here, stimulating. It's very stimulating to me. But that said, I'm about a third of the way through this course, Science Fiction, the Literature of Technological Imagination, and it is so fucking interesting. the amount of information they give you about how some of these books were created, their kind of place in history, and like what was going on around them when they were written. The second one, a lot of it focuses on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I didn't realize that there's a lot of there's a lot of mockery in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea that I did not realize. Like I guess there's a thing in there about how a lot of the stuff that the doctor character, the main doctor character, like basically this says, oh, it must be this, well, it must be that. He's usually wrong. And it was like basically them kind of mocking the Americans, and how a lot of the technology. So a lot of people look at 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and they're like, oh man, you know, Jules Verne was so looking to the future, right? He was such a futurist. But what's fascinating is, you know, what is that phrase? Science fiction is always about the now when the book was written. So when you suddenly understand about the technology that was actually available in the time that Verne was writing, you realize that Verne wasn't talking about the future. Verne was talking about his present, that all these technologies existed in some minor form. He just did the science fiction thing. He took them to this more comfortable, advanced conclusion. You know, so it's for anybody who's a huge sci-fi geek like me and is into the science fiction, like classic literature. It's been a lot of fun, and I immediately thought of you because I thought you might enjoy this because it gets weird. But he covers was it Frankenstein, Jules Verne, H.G. Wells. He gets into World War II pulp culture, and which I don't really know what that is, but he also gets into Robert Heinlein, Ray Bradbury, Ursula Le Guin, Kubrick, and then he ends with the new wave and cyberpunk. So, like I said, it's a short course. It's only 8 sessions of like 45, 49 minutes. It's totally worth listening to if you can get it on sale. Never buy these courses full price. But I wanted to bring it up because it's a neat listen. Like, I learned a lot of things. I want to go read Frankenstein now. I haven't read Frankenstein since I was in like high school. I want to go read it again because there's all these things I did not realize. There's things about it that actually made me even think about Frankenstein Unbound. and the way that things are perceived. How I didn't realize this, but apparently there was something in there about how the monster is probably one of the best spoken characters in the book. That, like, yes, he's ugly, yes, he's horrifying, but you know, he also, you know, he wants what his master has. He wants to have a mate. He wants to have his own life. He wants to have control, and like he makes an argument for it. You know, and he is angry because his creator has denied him these things. So it's very fascinating, and the way that Frankenstein came to be written, like the kind of I don't call it the body horror, but kind of the sciences that were going on at the time. There's also a really great thing in there about how do you make science fiction sound more sciencey, about how all these authors basically just, you know, rather than don't call it a dog, call it use the Latin name, because when you use the Latin name, it makes it sound more scientific. He's like, and you notice that this is like the beginnings of science fiction. We have all these authors who want to make it sound more educated. So it's like, don't call it miles, call it kilometers. Don't call it, don't use the normal name for something. Use the Latin name for it. So it's, I just wanted to throw that on there. If anybody's looking for a weird and fascinating thing to listen to, that course is a lot of fun. Normally I listen to very heavy ones that like always bring me to the verge of kind of being unsure of the world. This one, on the other hand, has been an absolute joy. Like, I got some long car trips coming up in the future, and I'm kind of looking forward to them because I just get so captivated with this stuff. So, yeah, I have Heinlein to look forward to now.
Oh.
So, yeah. And that's it. That's all I got.
Okay.
It's all just atmosphere and science fiction.
I came across this. How do I frame this properly? This movie so captivated me. I bought it 10 minutes after I finished it.
Okay.
I was
That's
on
a
Shudder,
thing. Yeah.
which is generally a horror film streaming service.
It is.
So
yeah.
it is. Well, but it does have these little weird exceptions here and there. So I'm going through, and I really don't know why this movie is on there. It's not a horror film at all. It is but it is. Okay, so I am not generally, sorry, it sounded like my audio just clipped. That's just because I shifted my sentence midway. So that was not a jump cut. I do that a lot, and I've had a couple people say, hey, did you lose some audio there? Because you suddenly stopped and started something else. No, that's just how I talk sometimes. I generally would not consider myself a fan of musicals. That is a pretty hard rule with me.
That's an interesting place to start. Okay.
It is, right? But there are exceptions. For example, I enjoy Rocky Horror Picture Show, as my wife does. She enjoys it far more than I do, but I like it, even though it is a musical.
I listen to the soundtrack quite often.
As my wife does. And I reviewed a while ago and absolutely adore and bought the German fucking Blu-ray before you could get an American one of Voyage of the Rock Aliens, which is a musical. But that one is a new wave 80s musical that has a magnificent soundtrack to it. Those, up till now, were really the two movies that I would say, well, if I'm going to watch a musical, it's going to be one or the other. But now, I have a third film to add to that from 1988 called Sons of Steel, which I can only it's an Australian sci-fi fantasy flick, which I would describe as God, how do you describe the musical stuff? Some people have called it hard metal new wave, and I would say that's accurate. It is the character is literally a blend of three different musicians: Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne, and the physique of somebody like John Michael Thor, because he's built. He's a fucking jacked dude.
Who's the band who does? The German band. Du Hast. Who does Du Hast?
Rammstein.
Rammstein. Yeah,
Rammstein.
The guy looks. He kind of looks like one of the guys from Rammstein.
Well, he's very Australian, I can tell you that. So
sure.
Apparently, after this movie, he then formed a band called Black Alice and went on to record albums. He's a good singer. So this guy is the singer. He sings in the movie. He is the singer. And he is ripped. And ripped in a not unnatural looking way. He looks like somebody who was one of the big people in like Mad Max. This whole movie feels like a Mad Max. Of course, it's Australian. So there is a hyper-kinetic sense to this movie, which feels like George Miller and Sam Raimi got smushed together and made a film, which is great. So I start watching this thing.
Sorry, I just read the plot.
Yeah. The plot is... I didn't actually catch certain parts until I went back to get sound clips. I missed certain things because I was so entranced by what I was watching. It will be, to some people, it is going to be off-putting because it throws so much at you with no give a shit about slowing down. It's a very simple, relatively, plot, which is the leader of a metal band, who also happens to be an environmental activist, hears about a nuclear submarine with nuclear warheads that's going to come into Australia, and he wants to lead a protest of it because he's against war. And he is but it's said, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be like a riff on 1984, because the government is called Oceania, which isn't Oceania one of the nations in 1984? Yes, wasn't it Pacifica and Oceania?
Yeah, one of them, yeah.
I mean, unless that's accidental, but I don't think so, because this is also a very fascist government. And when they hear that he wants to lead this protest, they at first try to buy him off by offering to make him into an immortal hologram that can then outlawing all other rock bands so that he will be the king of all rock bands. And when he says no, they kidnap him. They attempt to make him into a hologram anyway so they can control him, which was probably always their intent, and inadvertently send him into the future. And also, in the course of that, because he is not there to help out the boat, the ferry that is going to be blockading the port from the sub, the ferry hits the sub, ignites the warheads, and detonates them, and so causes a nuclear holocaust. So when he comes back, when he's accidentally triggered and revived in the future, he then has to try to figure out how to go back in time again to stop what he did. That's the basics of the plot. But what makes the movie work, that really doesn't even matter. What makes the movie work is the absolutely insane structure of this film, which has this almost cartoonish approach. And everything is way over the top. Everybody's voice is dubbed, which is great because it's all intensity. There's no subtlety at all. When they try to be subtle, it's almost comical. But everything is generally over the top. The musical numbers are... Well, actually, here. All right, now I'm going to start with the clips because the clips will give you a flavor. Even just in audio, what you would picture with this is likely accurate, except 1,000 times crazier. So, here is the opening where, I am not exaggerating, the first thing that we see is what looks like the Lawnmower Man. It's a head. It's a CGI head that looks like the Lawnmower Man. Actually, it looks like Kane from RoboCop 2. It very much looks like Kane, and it's just on a black background, almost like what was the computer's name?
Oh, it's just like
Red
it's
Dwarf?
like a purple and white face.
Yeah. See it? You see it?
It's on IMDb.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. That is the opening. That is the narrator who chimes in a couple times. He just says, "My name is the Head." You'll hear him say that, and he's going to explain the world that we're getting introduced to. So let me play this for you.
The Head here. This story is set in the future, so let your boring little imagination run riot. Imagine there's no countries, just trading blocks. The South Pacific is Oceania, and it's a nuclear-free zone. It's a military state, and the powers that be are planning to break the anti-nuclear treaty by permitting a nuclear submarine to enter the harbor. These are heavy times. One man threatens the government scam, Black Alice. He's a rock and roller, a singer who leads the peace movement called the Octagon. The president sits proudly in his citadel of slime, pondering over signing a decree to have Black Alice dealt with by the secret police.
That's the first thing you see with no setup, is just this animated head that outlines all of that. And then you see the president of Oceania, who for some reason half his face is deformed, like he almost got melted. It's never explained. It doesn't matter. It's just the way he looks. So we cut from that, and then we immediately, the next thing from that you see is Black Alice and his intro where he is singing. And I'm going to play that because this fucking song is amazing, and they do the whole song. I'm not going to play the whole song and only play a minute of it, but it immediately gives you an idea of what this character is, and this is the type of music you're going to hear throughout the movie at various points, as full, almost self-contained music videos that also are tied into the plot. So this is right after we get the intro from the Head. We then cut to this. Like I said, that song goes on. It's fucking great. And that guy is singing, and he's the main guy.
There's a strong Judas Priest feel to
Oh,
it,
yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
By
yeah,
the way,
that's right. Yeah.
I don't know if this is real or not, but I really hope it is.
Yeah.
I think the writer and director left a review for the movie on the IMDb himself.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
And
yeah.
It's listed as more helpful than not, and I have a feeling that IMDb would have pulled it down if it was shit.
I hope so. I hope
But
it's
it's
real.
actually
This person only made one movie, as far as I know. He never made another movie, or maybe he made a short that played in front of Dune, Lynch's Dune of all things, and the response was so good they expanded it into this movie. Is my understanding.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
But he never did anything else. Weird. All right.
No, he didn't. And then the main guy went on to form the band, and then went on as Black Alice and recorded at least 2 or 3 albums. So, yeah, it's such a weird particular movie because
no, he was the director of a TV series otherwise in 2004.
Oh, that's it.
Called P Max. So who knows?
Sure, but based on this, I would have thought this person went on to do a bunch of stuff because it's really good. It's extremely frenetic, but it is the sets and the lighting are really good. It has
I saw
identity.
A trailer for it. It looks really good.
Oh, it's fucking wild. It's really good. So right after this concert, the criticism from some people is, okay, it's just a bunch of scenes that they tied together with the through line. Well, that's true, but it works. Who cares? If it works, who cares what it actually is? So after this, we immediately see Black Alice goes back to his to his apartment, and he's got his girlfriend there, and they have sex, and then afterwards, she says, all right, get ready to go again, and then goes into the bathroom and shoots up some kind of drug, which Black Alice apparently is anti-drug, from what we can tell, because he bursts in, realizes what's going on, and she's ODing, and he's like, no, and he throws the needle. And then the next thing is that we then see that she's in the hospital, and he shows up to check on her and meets a demented Nurse Ratched type of nurse. And we get this bit of dialogue between him and the nurse, which when I talk about how the movie is dubbed by everybody, you're going to hear why this is actually great. So this is his exchange with the nurse, which is just magnificent.
Excuse me, could you...
Wait.
Listen, beer bucket. Give me the locale of one Miss Stain class. I'm gonna rip your eyeball out. Need it!
Just who do you think you are? You don't have to be so rude. You did say stained class, didn't you? Are you Black Alice?
So?
Bank accounts. Not very impressive. Outstanding accounts. Criminal record. Dear, 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 haven't we been a naughty little boy?
Listen, shit for brains. Cut the fascist crap.
I'm sorry. She passed away 5 minutes ago.
No!
Right, so all that over-the-topness is the whole movie. That whole delivery is his whole approach, and everybody really is at that level, which is great.
And just listening to it, you have this vision of what I don't know, I haven't seen the scene, but you have this vision of what it must look like.
Yeah, it's like a lot of close-ups and just intense looks, and there's this constant sprinkling of when she was talking about his bad coach, and you hear him going, yeah, all through the movie. And it's fantastic. He just is constantly grunting and making these little weird sounds and going, happening, instead of radical. He's like, happening. It's fucking great. The whole performance is, again, it's like George Miller made a side movie that didn't fit in Mad Max, and he wanted to make his version of 1984. And this is, I could see the toe cutter guy in this role. I could see it easily. It all fits. And it's just great because the movie operates at this extreme delivery level the whole movie, along with these very extraordinarily garish sets and a lot of, you saw it, like bright lighting. People have really bright fluorescent hair, and they've got all the crazy kind of 80s paint jobs on their face. Costuming, it actually got nominated for a bunch of awards for the costuming and some of the set design, which makes complete sense because, again, for a movie by somebody who didn't really do anything else, there's so much thought in this thing that it's really astonishing to me. I'd never seen it or heard of it before. I seem to think I'd seen the cover and sort of assumed it was like a Nazi exploitation thing because it kind of looks like that, so I may never have looked at it all that closely. But and so Stain dies, as you heard there, and then then he basically, I guess, mourns her for a very specific amount of time, which I clipped just this, which I will keep as an evergreen clip because there's it goes to black right after that scene, and then this is what you hear.
200 hours later.
And then it just cuts to him walking. And so I don't know what was supposed to have happened in that 200 hours. I guess Stain gets buried, and then he just goes on with his life. But that 200 hours later clip is just magnificent. So that is in the evergreen clip section. Maybe I'll use it when we exceed 2 hours every time. I'll just play that. But he's walking along, and then one of the military police stops him and says, "Oh, you've been invited to go up and talk to the," what do they call them? Oh, they have a name for whatever the secret police are called. There's a name for them. I can't remember.
The Gestapo?
Which, well, they're not called they are the Gestapo, but they're, it's the secret board or whatever. And so he's like, okay, fine, I'll go talk to them. And, then there's these multiple, I'm skipping over, there's just music videos where like he goes into the lobby of their super tower or whatever, and there's all these government stooges, and he, in his imagination, pulls out an Uzi, guns them down, sings a song, and then it snaps back to reality, and of course they're alive, and it was just him kind of sneering and sniveling at them, going, happening, like shit like that, which is great. So he goes up to meet, the names of the characters are, what is the woman's name? It's basically, whatever, they're the head scientist. There's 3 of them initially, or actually there's 4 technically. There's Secta. I thought it was Sector, but I saw it was spelled with an A, so I guess either that's because the Australians pronounce it as A, or his actual name is Secta, I don't know. There's Hope, who I didn't even realize was his sister until I pulled these clips, but he mentions it at one point. So Hope and Sector are brother and sister scientists. And then there's the red-haired guy, whose name I don't remember, you'll hear it in the clip. And then the woman who is essentially like a Vampirella type looking, they look like SS officers, the red-haired guy and the Vampirella woman. So this is red-haired guy, Vampirella woman, and Hope in a room talking about this experiment they've been working on, which you will later find out is Sector working on an immortality serum. So sorry, I forgot. This is them talking about it before Black Alice actually arrives for the meeting.
Report. And we totally disagree with your doltish attitude.
You have the attitude problem, Honor. Black Alice, the man in question, is a peace activist.
I don't give a shit for your scientific opinion.
Dr. Hope, we all have a job to do, and it is not up to us to question our orders. You see, the man is a rebel, and rebels must be destroyed. No single person is bigger than the Oceana, and that goes for you too. You.
Really? Well, consider yourself informed. No one is about to use our experiment on a human subject. No one.
Well, that's where you're wrong, Hope. Sector has given permission. I can't believe any rebel is a threat to Oceana security.
You and your disciples of death are the only threat to security I can see around here.
Cut the flattery, Hope. You are here to either pledge your loyalty to the project or hand in your notice.
I'll continue my work elsewhere.
Good. No great loss.
I don't envy the person with the job to pick up the pieces of the world after you cokeheads have finished with it.
How fucking dramatic.
I'd like to...
Cuts off? Dear. I like your filthy little mind. But don't be such a toad. She'd be a goldfish anyhow. Best we prepare. Our visitor will be here soon.
So as you heard in that clip, Hope does not like the idea of them using this immortality experiment to, well, she knows that what they're going to try to do is change Black Alice into a stooge.
But she's been overwhelmed by the corporation, company, the government. Like, what is it?
Sure. The state, whatever it is, the military state.
All of them. Yeah.
All that stuff is one thing. By the way, in that was when I heard that Hope woman talking, I got very strong Farscape vibes just because of the accent. So then I was thinking about Farscape, so now I have to watch Farscape again because a lot of Farscape is overdubbed.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of Australian.
That's another thing where I'm like, oh yeah, because of the lighting and it being sci-fi and everything. I was like, yeah, this is reminding me of Farscape, this is all positive stuff. And so Hope then goes into the lab with Sector, whatever it's supposed to be, who is a magnificent. I mean, in a movie full of over-the-top characters, he is probably the most over-the-top. Where he is.
Is he the one with half his head is having his long hair?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Yes. Yeah. And to the point where I don't. Oh yeah, very two-faced. There's kind of this whole thing where I don't know if he's supposed to be non-binary or what, because he's in this split thing, and then later he shows up in like a. I don't even know how to describe the outfit, and then he's in a dress like Lady Liberty, except gold. Like there's all this shit going on with it. They never get into it, which I like. They just kind of always show him shifting in different ways. And
well, they don't have to. That's just his thing.
No, I know, but that's what I for the time period, it's restrained in whatever's going on with that character. And even his morality is kind of very fluid because he's a villain in the first half or for most of the movie, and then at the end, he's like, oh, I want you to save my sister and I guess not kill everybody. So there's, I like the character because he again, among a cast who's all, I mean, you heard the guy banging on the table when he was talking. All of them are playing at 400% and he's at 1,000%, which is great. So this is the exchange where he basically says to Hope when she comes in about to resign and walk out, he says, okay, I figured it out. I know how, I've got the formula. I know how to do it. We can complete the experiment. And she's going to react very negatively to that.
Hope, I've done it. The serum is stabilized. I've done it, Hope.
You sold out, Sector. And don't deny it, that bitch Honor filled me in.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just think of it, Hope. We can create a whole new race. I've injected the serum. I've done it, Hope. I'm going to live forever.
I don't care. I really don't care.
But don't you see, Hope? None of what you're saying really matters.
I've resigned from the project and I'm joining the Octagon Peace Movement.
What?
I hope you'll be happy in your own private hell,
Hell bells! Octagon! I'm disciplined wabbits! Anti-nuke! Anti-this! Anti-that!
Right. So you see what I mean? That Sector is operating just slightly above everybody else, or at times very far above everybody else. So, yes, he's got the serum ready to go. Hope is quitting, she's leaving, and right after that is when Black Alice arrives, and this is when the two SS officers, and they're dressed all in Nazi colors, red and black, and then Hope and Sector are in like lab coats. So it's clear that there is the kind of military side of it, and then the the science side of it. But Sector is definitely at this point in the movie aligned with the SS people, where he's like, no, we're going to do whatever they want because they're going to, they let me make this serum and whatever. And Hope is done with that and is leaving because she doesn't think it should be used on humans, either at all or until there's more testing. So then Black Alice shows up, and these two are going to, the SS people, Vampirella and Bang on the Table guy are going to try to convince him to side with them.
Damn it! What do you mean you haven't got time tonight?
Settle down, dude. I'm not into violence.
Listen, mister. Inside every solitary human being breathes violence. And you, sir, are no exception.
Yeah, but it's how you release that violence that counts. You see this?
Yeah, ahead.
Ahead, yes.
So what?
Yeah, a head, not a warhead. I'm not as dangerous as that sub out there in the harbour with 5 million innocent people living around it. You dig?
The Bureau knows that you will see our gesture as a compliment to you and your industry, after all. World economics in such bad shape, no rock bands touring anymore. You will be able to tour as a hologram. Think of it. You will be the first...
Let's get on with it! I haven't got a time for limp-wristed melodramatics.
I think you should talk it over with my manager. He handles all my gigs.
Now, just to note, I did not edit any of these clips. All that rapid-fire jumpiness, that's the movie. I did not cut anything for time. That's the pace that this movie moves at. And that's what I mean about it does not wait. It doesn't care. You're either going to follow it or you're not. This is definitely a movie I will probably enjoy even more on a second viewing because I was trying to figure out exactly what was going on at first.
I like the music. I like the atmospheric music that they're doing.
I like the whole thing. It's just, it has this very... The Australian movies made in this time period all have this unique feel to them, and this is one of them. This is very similar to the one that I think it was Spirits of the Air, Gremlins of the Sky, maybe, the one that Alex Proyas did, one of his early ones. I reviewed it a long time ago, and that one had this very specific air to it, which I think that one... hold on, I want to make sure I get the name of that one right, because if anybody missed it, it's Spirits of the Air, Gremlins of the Sky, I think. Let me see. Spirits of the Air, Gremlins of the Clouds, which is 1987, so 1 year before this, and it was Alex Proyas, and it's another post-apocalyptic outback movie. Really interesting, specific type of film by the guy who made The Crow, and then, The Crow and Dark City. One of his, it might be his first movie. Really interesting movie. Yeah, Dark City's great. This feels at times like a lower budget version of something like Dark City. So there are those echoes there. So he basically says, all right, yeah, call my manager, even though it's very clear that he is completely against whatever they're doing. And as he goes to leave, they basically grab him, incapacitate him, and Sector's like, all right, yeah, we're going to experiment on you anyway, because one way or another we were going to do this, and I need to test this on somebody. So they put this serum into him, and what it ends up doing is he does become some kind of hologram, but he also then vanishes and shoots into some kind of stasis in the future. And so then we shoot to the future. We just cut to the future almost immediately after that happens. And there is what looks like Sheena of the Jungle woman warrior that's wandering around in kind of some kind of damp sewers with this large hulking guy who looks like an extra from Conan the Barbarian, who will be named X. I don't remember the woman's name, but the guy's name, it's not even his real name. Alice just calls him X. They're kind of wandering around, and she pulls a lever, and it reactivates the hologram chamber, and Black Alice comes back to life. The hologram sits there, reforms, he pops out, and of course has no idea what's going on because 2 seconds ago he was in the past. So the way that he deals with this is to sing a very long song about where the fuck am I and what's going on, which is great. He's kind of on a pedestal. No, I mean it. They cut it's and they're whole songs. It's great.
I love the fact that that's his reaction to sing about it.
Oh yeah,
that's the whole musical thing where it becomes so overwhelming that you break out into song.
Right, and I want to say that there's 6 or 7 songs. There's one about love. There's the one about revolution. There's this one about what's going on, where am I, this type of thing. And so he's traveling around with them, and what they eventually do is they stumble into some kind of wrecked underground lab where they very quickly realize they're not alone in there, and the people who are in there just so happen to be Sector, and it's never explained what the other character is. It's a little person that looks exactly like him. So my theory is he created a small clone of himself, which he calls Big.
Hold on. Here's another idea. He's immortal, right? He has the life thing that he gave himself?
Correct. Yes.
It would be funny if he cut a piece of himself off and it grew into a little mini version of him.
Never explained. Therefore, as a reasonable explanation as
that's
anything
what I mean. It could be anything. So that's what I mean.
No, I have no issue with that explanation either. It's not important. It's just a very fun element that they added.
No, it's just funny.
So now he has an assistant. So then this is their confrontation where Black Alice basically says, okay, what happened in Sector? Now, the clip stops before Sector goes into a rock rap ballad. Well, I'll explain it afterwards because if I clipped it, it would have been far too long, but it is worth talking about. So let's do the talking bit first, and you will start to hear that you can kind of sense that he's about to break into song. This is Sector, not Black Alice. That Sector's about to break into song, but my suspicion there is that the actor could not really sing. And so rather than have him attempt to sing, that's why they did kind of a talking rock rap thing where he's really just talking in rhyme. But we'll get to that. So let me play his explanation of what happened after Black Alice was turned into a hologram.
Welcome, Alice.
Yeah, welcome, Alice. I know that voice. Who are you? How did you know my name?
So you should, dear experiment. So you should. Am I what I'm not, or am I what I am?
You?
Yes, Alice, Sector. Who did you expect? Gregory Peck? Well, I suppose there is a likeness. But only in profile, mind you.
This is impossible. You brainwashed me.
Yes, you had a filthy mind. Remember, Alice, it's been 113 years since we last met.
I swore I'd kill you, bastard. 100 what?
100 bastards? Where? Go on, you can say it. I don't look a day over 30, right?
You reckon?
Get him, Big. He insulted your master.
Where? Sit on it.
Don't call me it, musclehead.
Shut up, Ward. Now I want to know what's going on here.
Roll up, roll up, roll up. It's time for Alice to listen to the uninterrupted story.
Music, sire, for maximum effect.
Good, Big, good. Slip on the appropriate underpants and socks.
Ah, damn it, Mel. I'd kill for a cigarette.
A fag instead? Now, where to begin? The elements were at risk. The wolves began to howl.
Ow! What is this?
Shut up.
I demolecularized you, transformed you into energy. Safe for eons, never to be freed. But an accident, and you transmute to life. But not for long. You'll rot to death within 10 hours. And then, my dear experiment, then you'll be gone. You see, while you were entombed, your little demonstration went wrong. Your ferry full of peacemongers collided with a submarine, and then, zap! Sydney was gone. A giant mushroom enveloped them all. And you, my dear experiment, you were the cause. What pathos! What irony! Applause! Applause! Yes, Alice. I shot up my serum before you split. You condemn me to an eternity, this underground pit. You might ask who else survived those not burned to a crisp. No one is the answer. They fried like fish and chips. Women carried charred babies and screamed.
Now you started to hear him do it, where he was starting to do kind of the rhyming, talking thing. That goes on for a while, but like I said, it was going to be too long, and I really think they did it because he didn't have the ability to sing. But what he's singing about is the fact that all of these innocent...
He's quite clear, though. He's singing about the end of the world.
Oh, yeah. But what he sings about when he goes on is about the fact that all these innocent people were trying to get into a bomb shelter, and he was sealing them out, and they were all getting, like, melted in front of him. So he's joyously... It's what I mean. The character is just a loon. He's just going on about, oh, yeah, women and children were melting in front of me. Ha, ha, ha. You know, I didn't let them in. I didn't let them in the shelter. They wanted to come in, but I wouldn't let them in. And, you know, Black Alice is grunting and making, you know, terrible faces in the background as, you know, you hear him go, you know, all that shit is fantastic. So essentially what you heard him say, you only have 10 hours to live. So basically whatever the experiment did, there's a defect where when he was rejuvenated, whatever, retransmuted, he is now basically going to melt into nothing. And so he says, well, wait a minute. If what you did the first time got me here, is it possible to send me back? Can you reverse it? And Sector says, well, maybe, but there's no way for us to try it because we have to get to my lab, and my lab is across the whatever from where we are, and there is a monster that is roaming around, and I can't leave. So if you want to go out there and try to kill that thing and clear the way to the lab, then we can give it a try. And right about then, the Sheena of the sewer shows up along with X, and they're like, all right, we'll try it. We'll go and we'll kill this thing called the Freak. The Freak, by the way, they build it up as if it's something big, but what I really think they wanted to do was just show off a costume, which really looks like something from a Gwar concert, complete with a swinging penis. So I think they just wanted to have a Gwar costume with a dick swinging around to be able to show in the movie. I don't know what else it served because they blow it up pretty quickly. But there is a funny bit with him, which again, I mostly pulled this clip because you hear him just making sounds, which he makes throughout the movie, which are adorable. So I'm just going to play this little clip where he goes out in the sewers with a rocket launcher and he stumbles into what he thinks is probably the Freak's toilet.
If the Freak doesn't get me this bloody smell, Will. Think it's had a shit here. I bet I'm step in it.
Alice, the Freak is at the end of the corridor, 20 meters ahead of you and closing. Turn your light out. It's scared.
Yeah, sure, Sector. Lights out. What do you think I am, a bloody idiot?
Yes, sir. What happening?
Eh?
Right. Like I said, that was just flavor sounds of him going as he's swinging the gun around. So eventually they do encounter the Freak. They manage to kill it. And then they get to the lab. And so Sector's like, okay, I think I can actually send you back. And as he's doing this, this is the last clip of the movie because basically we're almost at the end of the film now. But you're going to hear Alice basically like blubbering in the background because at this point, like he's got pustules on his face and he's melting and all the shit's coming off him. And you hear Sector say, all right, well, I'm going to try to send you back, but there's a bit of a catch to it, which is that nobody but you, which makes sense, is going to know that any of this happened. So because of that, everybody's going to try to stop you because you're suddenly going to reverse everything that you were saying, which was we have to block the sub and stop them from coming in. But now you're going to show up. They'll not have any idea anything changed, but you'll suddenly have reversed your entire philosophy. And everyone, me, the state, everybody, even your friends, are going to stop you. So this is the clip where he's explaining it, and he says, well, at least save my sister. And this is where his morality starts to kind of move the other way, possibly because, he killed everybody, or just out of selfishness because it turns out he actually loves his sister.
If it works, you'll appear at exactly the same time you left. You will have only 1 hour before the accident. Only you will know what's going to happen. Hear me, Alice? Hear me? Everybody, including me, will try to stop you. Nobody will believe where you've been, so don't tell them. Whatever you do, Alice, save Hope. Yeah. I do appreciate it.
So the experiment does succeed. He goes back in time, appears right where he was, and the rest of the movie is just him and Hope kind of fighting and battling their way to the ferry. And they get to the boat, they get on board. Of course, all the peace activists that he knew are trying to stop him, like he's fighting all of his friends from the beginning of the movie, like going through them because he wants to stop the boat. And they're saying, what are you talking about? We have to stop this thing. This was the whole point. And so he goes to stop the boat. But when he punches the captain to stop the boat, the captain falls into the controls, which makes them ram into the sub, and it blows up. At which point, the head appears on the screen and says, well, that's not really a fun ending, is it? Let's go back and let's just have him succeed, shall we? And then it restarts, and he goes in there and he manages to grab the controls, stop the boat, and then he and Hope kiss, and then the movie ends. So it's not really about the story. I mean, there is a story. It's fine enough for what it is, but it is more of the spectacle of what this film is, which is to watch this amazing guy acting or just destroying every scene he's in, along with everybody else competing to destroy every scene they're in. And then these musical interludes and just the hyper exaggerated world that this thing takes place in. I fucking love it. It was so good. Like I said, I bought it right as soon as it finished. And it is now the third musical I would be willing to watch of anything.
Well, it definitely sounds fun.
And I could have pulled a clip from almost every scene because of all the, again, just over the top performances. There's all this great stuff with just the things, the grunts and what they're saying to each other and all these random little weird asides. There's all different, like there's the CG head. When they send him back in time, it's animated, so he's spinning inside this giant, like Tim Burton looking spiral. There's just a complete, one of the things I like about movies like this is that they don't really. Go ahead.
It's like if Tim Burton and George Miller had like a child.
Sort of. Like I said, the closest thing would be Sam Raimi and George Miller for me, because there's a lot of really hyper close-up movement and camera, just things sloshing. Then the actress who plays Hope does appear to do a bike stunt where she bangs off a wall and falls down. And so I think it just happened that way. And so in the next scene, she gets back on the bike and she's, I hope Alice didn't see that. I don't think it was intentional. I think they just worked it into the scene. And that's movies like this. I really, really believe that was not planned, that they just worked it in and said, no, just go with it. Just say something about, I hope he didn't see that, because she keeps asking him for a kiss. And he's like, later. Because, he wants to get the mission accomplished first. That's why at the very end, the kiss is after they successfully, the second time, managed to avoid the sub. But there is just a willingness to do whatever seems to make sense for that particular scene type of thing. So it's all over the place, which for some people will probably be disconcerting because this is a very gonzo film. But if you're into that kind of thing where, it does feel like the movie is likely 50% improv, like they just have scenes written down and then whatever the connective tissue, literally the thing where it's like, okay, well, you have to, here's the lines, and I want this scene to be about 3 minutes long. So, I don't know, just make faces at the camera, grunt a little bit, walk around, punch something, and then say the lines, and then walk around, smack that woman on the ass, and then walk out through the door. And then they just do it. And they just shoot it, and he's counting off. It feels like it's that type of thing. As opposed to a very tightly scripted movie where everybody knows exactly what's happening beginning to end, and everything is blocked out and everything is sequential. This feels much looser. But it works because it feels like a very dream state type of movie where there's an unreality. It never at any point feels grounded in reality. It doesn't seem like it's supposed to be real. This is like a science fiction fantasy allegory, or again, almost like somebody wanted to take the basic concept of 1984 and apply a glam rock musical veneer to the whole thing. And it works beautifully. It's just great. It's highly entertaining. You can watch it on Tubi for free. It's on Shudder without ads because Tubi has ads. And since I already had Shudder, that's how I watched it. I bought the Blu-ray because there's a bunch of extras on it, including the music videos for almost every one of these songs. There's one of the extras has a great title. What was it? Hold on. I want to read what the actual, it's something like Demolishing a Film or something. What the hell is it called? Hold on. It's actually going to be here tomorrow. Can't wait to fucking watch this thing. All right. So the extra is called, hold on, let me scroll down. Sons of Steel Destroys the Movie Show. That sounds great. I don't know what that is, but it's got MTV Goes to the Australian premiere, the making of. This has a bunch of good extras, which is great because a lot of these movies don't. The short film is on there, which I'm going to watch because I'm curious. Music videos. So this thing is... Well, there was one review. Here it is. Pure goofy 80s trash. Love it. Yes, I could not agree more. Dogtism. Yes, indeed. So I would highly recommend this to anybody who likes the... And Rocky Horror is a good comparison piece, as is Voyage of the Rock Aliens, except this is far, again, looser. in that I really don't feel like Rocky Horror has a very deliberate pacing to it. That's why it's so good. It is clearly made as it was envisioned to be made. Like, you can tell that there is a very clear architecture to that movie. And that's why it works and has become what it is. Even though it does at times feel like it is Rocky Horror is the perfect art musical film because it has all of its intent very clearly on display and yet is made like clockwork. This is far looser. This is an art musical made by people who were coked up and or drunk the whole time and weren't so worried about every scene smoothly connecting to the next one. You know what I mean? But it holds together through sheer force of intensity. It's just the fact that everybody in this is clearly so fucking committed to making what they think it should be, even within the performances, which don't always seem to be in the same movie, yet always seem to belong in the same scene, which is a strange thing to say, and yet you kind of heard it in some of the scenes where characters are playing like they're in different scenes with the different people, but it does all work. And especially because Black Alice, what you can't get through audio is his facial expressions, which are masterpieces of facial emoting. He's so overboard with what he's doing, where he's just making these scrunched. I mean, I don't know if the trailer's got any of his really wonderful faces in it, but, you know, it's just, there's no restraint whatsoever. And we've talked before about how a lack of restraint can be a bad thing, but the flip side is, in the right context, a complete lack of fucking restraint is beautiful to behold. And this is one of those times. I fucking love this movie. It's great. I would recommend it to anybody who can handle a movie that is outside of the normal boundaries of what filmmaking tends to be. This is not a Shawshank Redemption type of film. This is more of a...
It's not really a B movie, is it, either? Like, this is beyond that. This is a...
neither... But this is why I compare it to Rocky Horror. Neither is Rocky Horror.
Yeah, Rocky Horror is...
in its technical sense, is a B movie in the way that it was made. Like, it's obviously not a high budget. It was never going to be a, I don't know, alien type of film. And yet, its identity is so clearly in it. And it, like, if you click with Rocky Horror, you click with it instantly. You know what you want out of that movie, and it's going to give it to you the whole way through. This is the same thing. I knew as soon as that fucking rock opening started and he's belting out that song, and I don't have any of the visuals, just the audio alone tells you. I knew right there I was in for this entire movie, and it never fucking failed me in 90 minutes. It kept fucking delivering, and I was thrilled. I mean, I was so overjoyed that I picked this movie at random. And this was one of those times where I'm like, okay, I don't really know if this is going to be bad or not. And it was just so good because, again, I don't watch a lot of musicals, and I don't know that there's a lot of musicals like this that have been made into films. There may be musicals made like this in places like theater or, you know, that type of thing. But as far as movies, I can't come up with something else that's identical to this. Similar things, but nothing quite this specific. And what I think makes it work is that Australian sensibility, which is, okay, fuck it, we're going to make this. Again, it's something specific to movies from Australia in this time period where there's just something unique about them. And this movie has it dialed all the way up, including great music, which is normally not my thing, but this is an exception. So, again, could not recommend it highly enough, especially because you can watch it for free. If you have Shudder, it's on there.
Jesus. Is this just a show of recommendations?
I guess so, man, which is great.
It's all positive this week.
Yeah, I have no complaints, man. It's This is a very, very, yes, good stuff show all throughout. So, like I said, especially because outside of the great courses thing, which you would have to pay for, but like you said, it's worth it. But this you can watch for free. Well, you have to pay. No, sorry. I should say the only thing that is free in this entire recommendation list is Sons of Steel because it is on Tubi. But everything is worth whatever you pay for it. And I paid $35 for the Blu-ray, and I'm fucking thrilled to do it because whatever way I can support this movie, I'm going to do it. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Well, it
Nothing
sounds
else
fun.
to say. Yeah, it's a blast. It's a blast. Like I said, the clips should sell you on the film. Think of the clips. That's the whole movie plus crazy visuals that are very, very wonderfully shot. So this isn't one of those things where, okay, you know, you can tell they don't have a budget. As far as I could tell, this looks really good. And I think the times where it doesn't are intentionally kind of supposed to look a little janky. But honestly, it's beautifully shot as well. So that's another plus, is the main character actually sings the songs, which I like knowing, because then it makes it better when he's singing, because you know, like all of his over dramatic motions and everything, I imagine that's got to be how he actually sings, because he was singing the songs. So that's great.
You know what? Go find his actual music that he did after the fact.
Yes, it's on Bandcamp. This entire soundtrack, as well as his other albums, are on Bandcamp. I know a couple of the albums are on iTunes, or I guess on Apple Music. The vinyl for this can be purchased from, I think, Mondo and Vinegar Syndrome put out the vinyl of this if you want that for Sons of Steel, the soundtrack. So, yeah. And I think all of the music from the movie is on YouTube as the music videos, I'm pretty sure. So, including a really wonderful love ballad, which ends hysterically, where they just linger far too long on his very, very slow motion attempt to kiss a woman, where he's clearly, again, this is why I feel like in the background, the director's saying, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. No, and because he keeps kind of slowly stopping as he's going towards her. And you're like, okay, come on, we know where this is going. But I feel like the director is like, no, I need this to last for 10 more seconds. Slow down. Stop. No. Okay, go ahead, kiss her. And then it cuts to black. It's one of those kind of things. And that's even better, because me thinking that makes the movie better. Because then I sit here and go, okay, I know why the scene is doing this. It's because they need to, you have to have a movie be a certain amount of minutes to be able to get distribution. So I'm sure that because this started as a short film and then was graduated up to a full one, I'm sure one of the things they said is, well, we need this to be a 90-minute movie. If we're going to give you this funding, this has to be a movie we can show in theaters. Therefore, we need it to be this length. And I'm telling you, the story does not support it. So they have to do other things to make it work. And in a lot of movies, that will destroy them. That's where in a lot of bad horror movies, the thing that you figure out of how they're extending the runtime is people wandering around the woods looking for the killer, or the killer's looking for them, and it's utterly boring. This movie, when they're extending the scenes, they were smart enough to say, okay, is there an abandoned warehouse that we can transform into something weird looking where you can wander around?
So
that
supposedly they filmed in bunkers. Old World
that makes complete
bunkers.
sense. It makes complete sense, because it's all very small spaces. There's a couple of exteriors and there's something in the water here and there, but that's minimal. But a lot of it is indoors. And a lot of it does look really good, because they probably in old bunkers could do whatever they want to it. So they can, and there's a lot of, metal looking, and it's of course post-apocalyptic in the second half. So the costuming, I understand why they were nominated. There's some wonderful costume design in it, especially Sector's whole makeup and the different things he's wearing at times. All wonderful, all just very whimsical and weird and out of nowhere. I do enjoy when they don't explain things. So there's certain things that, like Black Alice's fantasy sequences, you figure out that they're fantasy sequences, because, again, he says he's anti-violence, yet there's all these fantasies he has of killing people. And I think that's where he says that thing about, it's the head, not the warhead.
It's where you apply
it. Yeah. Right. All this stuff adds up to a wonderful movie. So, yeah. So, in short, yes, there is something for everybody in this episode, and every single thing is highly recommended. So, you're welcome. That's what we're here for. And we have gone through a whole show with really not anything negative to say, which is an amazing rarity. So before I ruin it, I'll just say, go watch Sons of Steel, go visit Otherworld, take a great course if you never have before, and what was the fourth thing? There was a fourth
Go see
thing.
Abyss.
And watch The Abyss, and read Artificial Fear. Buy it. And if you're a member of the Patreon community, then you will be able to hear it, well, easily before the show comes out. So shortly as we're talking, but definitely before you hear this. On that note, go forth, have a wonderful weekend, and we shall talk to you again next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow at Ozone Nightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.